4, 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, everyone, welcome to this spoiler cast of Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3. Really just the whole Legend of Heroes series that we're going to be discussing. More so Cold Steel 3 for the most part, but we're probably going to be delving in and out of the series in other games. So first up, obvious thing is obvious. Spoilers. Mega spoilers. Like spoilers out the ass. Okay, we will be going in on everything that this series pretty much has to offer. So you've been warned, if this video played on autoplay, you might want to pause it and go view something else. I honestly don't expect this video to do big numbers or anything like that. This is just for the small collective that actually went out of their way to play this awesome game and this awesome series. So if you're here, shout out to you and just leave a comment saying, yeah, I played Cold Steel 1, 2, and 3, even played Trails in the Sky 1 through 3, and even went to the Crossbell games. Alright. So, we're going to go around the room and do introductions real quick. So, go right ahead, Bao.
Hey guys, Bao Agate here. I'm not sure how to do this introduction, honestly, because it ain't the JRPG podcast.
What's your, how many, Legend of Heroes games have you played?
All of them.
All of them.
I literally marathon most of the games this year in preparation for Cold Steel 3.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Tarks?
Yo, Tarks Gauntlet. I've also played all of the Legend of Heroes games. Well, from Sky onward. I did not play the ones before that. I don't think they're that important. I'm hoping everybody else here has at least learned a thing or two about the Zero and OW games, because I got something I want to bring up in relation to those. But yeah, that's it. I'm just Tarks Gauntlet, a guy that does weeb shit on the internet.
Okay. Riku?
Hi, everyone.
Oh, man.
All right. What's up, everybody? Riku Sun 1. Yeah, we're here to talk about some AU Densetsu. Yes, I have played all of the Kiseki games. But yeah, I do intend on playing the Gag Harv trilogy, the Legend of Hero games before the Trails ones. I'm going to play those next year. But because I'm hearing some things that are saying that they could possibly be linked to this in some way, shape, or form. But even if they weren't, I want to go out of my way to play them. I was actually the other day looking into seeing what I can do to play the Dragon Slayer games, and a couple of those extremely old ones. Jeez. They seem really hard to, get on, especially the fucking Xanadu games. Jesus. Like, I was trying to look up those, and some of them are on the Saturn and never got translated and shit, so... Oh well, but we're here to talk about that Cold Steel 3, that Zen 3, and I'm ready.
Okay, all right. So the first thing I want to talk about, and you guys listening, you might think this is a little bit crazy and out of pocket for us to discuss, but I want to hear everybody's thoughts. Person new to the series, they see Cold Steel 3, they want to play it. What do you guys say to them?
Don't. Yes, this game can be played on its own, but you will not get the maximum enjoyment unless you've played at least the prior Cold Steel games. At least.
Tarks?
I'm not going to say don't do it. I do agree you can't get the maximum enjoyment. I recently watched JRPG Jungle's review on Trails of Cold Steel 3, and this was her first ever Trails game. And she seemed to love it start to finish. She also acknowledged, she probably doesn't get as much out of it as other people. But it still sounds like it's worth playing. And if you start at 3, you might be encouraged to go back. So I definitely don't want to gatekeep anybody. If you absolutely have to start there, start there. If you have the time and the money, start at an earlier point.
Okay. Riku?
Yeah, to a degree. Same thing in regards to Tarks. The whole, that whole news about Cold Steel 3 coming to Nintendo Switch that happened a couple of days ago. Threw a decent amount of people for a loop, and then some people were like, I told you so. But the point is, it's coming to Switch. A lot of Nintendo guys, they eat up everything that's on the Switch. And people like Blandrew, he's hyped for it, and he hasn't played any of the games. So people like him who are gonna to Cold Steel, regardless of what we say, is it's gonna happen. So I mean, do what you got to do. The thing is, with NIS releasing this on the Switch, I said this on Twitter. There's no way that even if this is your only Cold Steel game that you played, you're still gonna that ending is still gonna get you hyped to the point where you're gonna want to play Cold Steel 4, regardless of how much you know prior to playing this franchise. When you see that ending, you're gonna want to play Cold Steel 4. So when Cold Steel 4 comes out, if it does come out at the same time, let's say Cold Steel 4 gets localized and NIS actually decides to bring the Switch version out at the same time the PS4 version comes out, that's only good. That only helps Cold Steel 4's sales overall even more. Because then you have your people from the Switch who only play Cold Steel 3 with their hype 4, and people like us playing Cold Steel 4. So it only helps Cold Steel 4. But I say a lot of those Switch people, they most of the time, if they don't have a PlayStation, they at least have a PC. And if you have a PC, go play Trails in the Sky if you can. A lot of those guys talk about, I like to play the little classic games. I love games like Octopath and this and that. Okay, well, I say go ahead and try out Trails in the Sky, or at least, like you guys said, Cold Steel 1 and 2. But if you ask me, I'm definitely going to tell you to start from, honestly, it depends on who I'm talking to, man. It really does depend on
You're
who.
so conflicted.
I know, right?
It's a really conflicting question, man.
It's tough, right?
It depends on who I'm talking to. Like,
let me ask you.
She's got to start from Trails in the Sky. She's the type of person that likes, the classic JRPGs. She likes the sprites. She's a patient type of person. So for someone like her, I would say start with Trails in the Sky. But for someone like, let's say, Blake, like especially what we were talking about in our group chat and whatnot, he's definitely someone that is probably best starting off with Cold Steel. So for me, honestly, if I don't know you, man, it's gonna be hard. But if I do, it depends on what I say. So that's just me.
Now, most North American players probably haven't played the Crossbell games, right?
Yeah.
Would you, like, knowing that Cold Steel 4 is loaded from top to bottom with Crossbell characters, would you urge them to, like, try to get those as well?
Am I talking to someone that's only played Cold Steel 3 and they're ready for Cold Steel 4?
I don't know. I'm just speaking in general. I imagine if they started at Cold Steel 3, it doesn't matter what else they're missing.
I would assume that if they played Cold Steel 3 and they're hyped for Cold Steel 4, you would assume that they would try during the time that, during that wait of 3 to 4, you would assume that they would at least try to go play the past games. If they don't, then first of all, fuck you. Second of all, yeah, they will be missing out a lot if they don't, play those games. You're going to see people like Lloyd and whatnot pop up. Like, yeah, you saw him like once in Cold Steel 3 in like an anime format, which was odd.
Yeah,
but
that weird 11-second. One cutscene in the game.
I know, right?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Yeah.
I was like, wait, why is he?
I think most of North America is going to be stuck like holding their dick when that game comes out. Most of them aren't going to play them, right? They're not going to play the Crossbell games, which sucks because honestly, that little duology probably has the best game in the series so far.
Ow.
I hear a lot about it.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hell, man. Jesus Christ, man. I still think about the games sometimes, especially that fucking plot reveal. But
yeah,
you said is straight up spoilers for everything. All right, I can't do it, man. I can't spoil out. That plot reveal is too good. But yeah, no, we definitely gonna spoil up some Cold Steel 3. So
Okay.
yeah.
My opinion on the matter of should somebody play the other games is it's kind of tough. On the one hand, I want a lot of people to play this series. I think it needs more recognition. It coming to the Switch is gonna boost that very narrative, I guess. It's hard for anybody to just jump into this one. There are so many plot points that are gonna go over your head, so many references that's gonna go over your head. And I don't want anybody to miss out on it. I would say play Cold Steel 1 and 2 first. You don't have to go and play Trails in the Sky and the Crossbell games. I know some of you listening to this are going to say I'm crazy for saying that, but listening of what you're asking somebody to do. You're asking somebody to play potentially almost 300 hours of game just so they can get into the latest one. That's insane for anyone that leads a normal life, everyday life, whether you go to class or you work for a living. That's just crazy. All right.
Oh, counterpoint. Fuck normal life. Just fuck normal life. Legend of Heroes. You don't need the normal life,
here's
right?
the thing. We all live. We all have jobs. We all have shit out here. But in a matter of a month, I was still able to push in 257 hours into this bitch. It depends on there's a difference between not having the time and making the time when you have time. When people usually have free time, they do what they want to do. But it's at least when it comes to me, when I'm into something and I have free time, dedicate all the free time that I have into that thing until I'm either done or I'm ready to move on to something. Most of the time, people are juggling things. They're watching a show. They might play a game for a little while, and then they might do this. They might do that. And that's understandable as far as optimizing your time and doing all of this. But if you just focus on just this one thing until it's done, I don't think it's asking too much from someone that lives a normal life and has let's say 4 to 5 hours of free time when they get home from wherever they work, because that's how much free time I had when the game came out. I only had about 4 to 5 hours.
All right, so I got a question for you then. How much did it cost to put a toilet in your living room? Because there's no way you were taking bathroom breaks. Getting 257 hours in this game in a month. No way.
Well, I mean, obviously the weekends I had a lot more time than that. I'm just talking, the weekdays when I come home from work and I'm just like, gotta take a shower. Gotta do everything I gotta do before I actually sit down and play Cold Steel 3, which at that time I probably have maybe 3-4 hours left before I actually got to go to sleep and not be fucked up the next day, So, no, majority of that time is definitely on the weekends where, Friday comes. All right, baby, time for an all-nighter. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, you actually played the game on Nightmare, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yo, from now on, I'm definitely playing probably all of my Nihon Falcon games on Nightmare. When we get into gameplay, I'm going to talk about that. But, it's definitely Nightmare. Fucking Nightmare. It's fucking awesome. That was a great decision.
All right. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I want this series to be well known. So, if somebody wants to jump into Cold Steel 3, I'm going to say play Cold Steel 1 and 2. But I also might just be like, go ahead and play this one so you can get into the series. If you love it enough, you're going to want to go back and play them. But then again, for Cold Steel 1 and 2, you kind of get spoiled if you just go in 3. So, it's
3, when I think about it, 3... I don't know if 3 really spoils a ridiculous amount of stuff that happened in 1 and 2. Yeah, no, definitely Crow. Definitely Crow.
Stuff.
Osborne.
Yeah,
Osborne. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're missing a lot of awesome feeling moments when that stuff
That's
happens.
true.
But it's not just Cold Steel. It's not just Cold Steel stuff either though. In Cold Steel 3. Okay, so anybody who's played Trails in the Sky knows how big of a moment it was in Cold Steel 3 when you go to Hamel. Am I saying that right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a moment that if you never played the Sky games, you're not going to feel it. It's not going to mean that much.
Definitely.
So no matter what, you're spoiling something. Just
it's
picking and choosing it's picking and choosing if you're okay with it.
Okay, I guess what I should have said is how these happen. With when they mention the assassination, even though they kind of explain it in super detail in this one, I have no heart. I'm like, huh? Or fucking Crow's death. They kind of just explain that all stuff. But I think as far as even if they tell you, seeing it executed in the games is still something worth going back and seeing for yourself. Even though they may have said it. So that's probably why I said that.
I'll agree
probably
with
why I
that.
said that. Yeah, execute. That's one thing I think this franchise does well is execution. A lot of people say that, oh yeah, they have a lot of cliches in this. Look at Elisa, her tits just drop on Reen in the first couple hours of the game. So cliche, and then they do it again at the beginning of Cold Steel 3. Oh, the audacity! But it's the execution behind these cliches that make this good. So like I said, I just think it's they could you could read all of the stuff that they have at the beginning of the game. It's not going to do it justice as far as the actual execution behind all of the stuff.
For what it's worth, there's almost no story beat in existence that isn't a trope in some way by now. So yeah,
True.
It does always come down to execution.
True.
And I'll agree that it's entirely about execution. I'll say this because I played Cold Steel 1 first, and I met Prince Oliver.
Yeah.
Who I knew when I went back to play Trails in the Sky 1, 2, and 3, that was Olivier. I already had that spoiled, but it was still, it was just badass.
Yeah,
it was just
how he reveals himself in the second chapter and all that stuff.
Mm.
It was still really, really good. I could say the same thing with when I was playing. I played Cold Steel before I played Zero, and there was a few things that they both spoiled each other. But when you get to that part in Cold Steel 2 where they're vaguely mentioning the fact that there's this big ass Azure tree. It's over there and it's doing something, but you don't really know what it's doing and all this stuff. But then you play AO, and then you see the whole Azure tree and all this crazy stuff, and it's just like, man, yeah, the execution behind it is.
Mind you, Cold Steel 2 basically shows Crossbell get blown up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the entire time I was playing out, I'm like, when's that fucking explosion coming?
Yeah.
It's funny you guys mentioned Olivier and him being a prince and stuff like that. I thought that it was just two separate people.
Really?
Yeah, I really did. Until I played I guess Cold Steel 2, I started to realize it, but when I was jumping back and forth between the series, I was like, why does this guy look the same as this other guy? I was like, are you guys the same people? I was like, nah, that can't be. That's too obvious. How's he all the way over there while this is going on? I don't know.
The change in graphics probably didn't help that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like how his portrait looks in Sky, it's like it looks drastically different.
Well, yeah, he had like this sharp like hook nose and like his drunk look. He always looked fucking drunk.
Probably because freaking Sarah drunk him under a table.
How do you guys? I don't know if they ever said his name in Trails in the Sky. Olivier.
Olivier.
Olivier. I was thrown off when I heard his name in Cold Steel 3. Was that just me?
I was always saying Olivert.
Yeah.
Is that T silent? Is this like the Colbert Report?
Well, yeah, when you first meet him, it's just Oliver, and then, well, I mean, if without hearing the pronunciation, you would just assume it's Oliver, but then it's actually pronounced Olivier.
Yeah, that's
and then his actual prince name is just Olivert. So,
well, Cold Steel 3 fucked me up with Agate.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
See, that's the one I knew. Everyone else was telling me, "Oh, it's pronounced this way and that way." It's like I always call them Agate. So I've heard Agate, Agate.
Well, in Trails in the Sky, how like all those chests, they have like little puns if you revisit them.
Yeah.
Like the treasure chest. One of them was like, "Oh, what member of your party is best for keeping people off your property?" And the answer was Agate, as in like a gate. Yeah. Like, is his name fucking supposed to be pronounced Agate?
I think that was supposed to be a part of the joke, but I understand where you're coming from with that one. Another name that threw me off was Louve. Fucking Louve.
Oh yeah, that one got me. I always pronounce his name like Low.
I could have swore I heard it in the Japanese. I could have swore I heard it in the Japanese, and they pronounced it Louis. So I always called him Louis. And then this one's like, and they do the same thing with another character who had a W in their name, and then it's pronounced like a V. Their name is just gonna come. I'll remember it.
All right. Okay, so moving on from that, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the story here, and we're probably gonna go into the characters as well.
By the way, I remember the person now. It was remember Wald from Crossbell? they pronounce it Vald. I'm like, what the? Okay. But yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, we're gonna jump into the story here. The story, first off, do you guys think it was way too long?
No, honestly. That was
No,
actually well paced for how long it was.
Of the Cold Steel games, I find this one was actually the best paced.
Okay.
I agree.
I honestly felt towards the end there, I was like, God damn, this game's still going on? What the hell is going on here?
But you gotta ask yourself, Shadow, have you not felt like that when you reached an end of a trip? Because you remember you said, I remember I warned you at the end of Cold Steel 2. I was like, Shadow, when you get to the end of Cold Steel 2, you might feel a little burnt out. Just keep on pushing forward. And you're like,
the
okay.
final dungeon. The final dungeon in Cold Steel 2 was too fucking long. It was like 4 hours.
You know I eat that shit up. But
And that's on regular difficulty.
Yeah, he was just like, man, Rico, I'm ready to check out. There's this epilogue dungeon now. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I will say, Cold Steel 3 is probably the longest in terms of just its story content.
Oh yeah.
I know it has the highest word count of all 4 games.
Yeah.
And not by a small margin. It's like 336,000 words, which is, I think, longer than the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Crazy.
That's ridiculous.
So, yeah, it's definitely the longest, but I think it kind of deserves it. None of it felt like filler, and I think it has enough huge events, especially up front, I don't know, they just grab you a lot faster.
One of the things for that is because like after every major event, the dialogue for NPCs change. I think
that's why the word count gets up so high. Yeah,
and then I'm like, I actually go around talking to people after every major event to see what's going on and how the people are affected. So
they at a point during development, they almost didn't want to do that anymore, and they were just like, no, we kind of committed and created a tradition in regards to every single or damn near every single NPC having new dialogue during every like major event. So they kept it in. I'm glad they did.
They could always just remove some NPCs and lighten the workload, because there's definitely a lot more than there ever was.
Yeah.
How'd you guys feel about the pacing of or the structure of the game, where you know when crap's gonna hit the fan because it's the like last day or two of the?
Yeah.
I kind of like that because I knew what to expect.
The
like,
big
it gave me
thing always
incentive to keep playing.
The big thing always happens on the final day of the field study.
Yeah.
I didn't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
It felt like I was on like a clock system. Like, I'm here for 3 days. I got to fix this shit by the time I go.
Right.
So it felt almost like I was like the main party was the reason why the big shit was happening on the 3rd day, more so than just, like Ouroboros and the works. So I don't know. It didn't bug me.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. From a story standpoint, people talk about Cold Steel 1, and there's a decent amount of people out there that didn't necessarily like the formula. They call it the formula of Cold Steel 1, where you went on your field study, while you're train, you're playing your cards, you go to the field study, you find out about that location, and then the bare bones, you go back and rinse and repeat. And some people are saying, oh, that formula was kind of boring, even though I disagree with that. And when it comes to Cold Steel 3,
I knew it was like setting up world building for the second game, so that didn't bother me at all. So I knew it was going to have payoff eventually.
The Sky games are no different, though. You literally walk to a town, you talk to the bracers, you talk to the mayor, you get quests, you do them, you leave.
You do them, an Ouroboros thing might happen, and then you leave. But I was just like, dude, there's a formula. I don't understand how some people can complain about that, because when it comes to especially JRPGs, majority, if not all of them, at least the well structured ones, have a formula that they follow. Even your Persona 5s, where it's like, basically from the beginning, bad adult is doing something bad to a party member that you're gonna add to your party. You add that person to your party, you take care of that bad adult, and now that person that you saved is one of your best buds. next chapter, rinse and repeat. And even though like in bare bones that doesn't sound interesting, it's the execution behind that makes it good. So I don't understand that. And when it comes to Cold Steel 3, that this one has a formula that's similar to one where you go on your field study. Like you said, you're in the location, you're finding out about the location, and then something big happens at the end. At the end of the day, it's about the execution behind it. So yeah, when it came to like figuring, when it's gonna happen, I'm here to see what happens. Yeah, I know something's gonna, something's gonna go down. It's probably gonna be an Ouroboros related thing. Someone that I haven't seen before is probably gonna reveal themselves. And then they're probably gonna do something crazy, and then they're gonna leave, and that's gonna be it. Because I know those things are gonna happen, doesn't necessarily mean I'm not hyped to see that shit happen.
What's good is that like something's going to happen, but when something does happen, it's not what you thought was going to happen a lot of the time. So you're still surprised in the end.
Yeah,
it's like you don't turn on fucking Die Hard and be like, oh man, this Bruce Willis is gonna kill Hans Gruber by the end. What a stupid fucking movie! I can already tell the end. It's just all about the adventure.
Yeah, because I had a friend who was playing Cold Steel 3 for the first time, and he was kind of he asked me that question. He was like, "How do you feel about literally chapter playing out the same way?" I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about as far as it playing out the same way, because shit is happening."
It's interesting because like I have a friend who's also playing. Like she's working her way through the Trails in the Sky games, and then she went to Cold Steel, and she was like, the structure is exactly the same for the most part. And it was like she was like, I don't have a problem with that really, because I know what to expect at this point. And personally, me, I was like, wow, this is all really formulaic, and everything's pretty much the same. Go to a town, do the quests, event, and I'm like, this is just about Legend of Heroes at this point, because they're making so many games. It's like, it's only like the way they keep pumping it out is they're relying on this structure so they can get it out in a timely fashion, I guess, especially for when it was releasing back in Japan. So I kind of can't understand why they're making it this way throughout each game. This is how they know how to tell a story. And again, like you guys said, the way it's executed when those major events do happen, it keeps you locked in your seat, ready for more.
I tell you what, man, I'll be damned if anyone says that, and this is the case for any of the end of any of the Kiseki games. It's hard for me to believe can say that they saw whatever happens at the end of any Kiseki game. They saw it coming. Like, oh yeah, I knew exactly that was coming. Yeah, see Milliam spinning into fly with blood? Yep, saw that coming. No, you didn't. Stop.
Okay, so one of the major story beats I want to talk about, it's not even Cold Steel 3, but I'm gonna jump to Cold Steel 1? Yeah, I'm going all the way back to Cold Steel 1. Crow. His big reveal, I don't think I had discussed it with you guys. I didn't like his reveal. I felt that anyone ultimately could have been C. Am I the only one that feels that way?
I mean, it was C. Being Crow is obvious from a certain point.
Because his name is C.
Well,
yeah, he's the only guy who's always missing.
There was that, but it was a specific part. I think you were like in a cave or something. And it's like, oh, Crow got caved in or something like that.
Yeah.
And then C appears. And it's like, oh, okay, he's C.
Yeah,
like, after that point, it was super obvious.
I feel like his mannerisms, like C was a different person almost. Like he was menacing, he was intimidating, and then like Crow is such a stark like difference between them. And even when Crow like he takes off the mask and he starts talking normally, it's like you still don't sound like C. I still like feel like C is like almost somebody else entirely. I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I think that's where they introduce a question for the player, like which one is an act, like who is the real Crow.
I remember when I talked to you about this, Shadow, when you were playing 2, and I said you have to kind of compare it to a person in real life in regards to a specific person and who they're talking to. Like, let's say the demeanor that you talk to at work isn't necessarily the same demeanor that you probably would talk to your friends, your very close friends.
You could simplify this a lot by just saying Batman.
Yeah, you can say that too. But I'm trying to use like a real example like us every day, or there's certain people that you don't talk to the same way you talk to certain people. Like you wouldn't curse around your parents or whatnot.
I
But
know what you mean, Riku. I just still felt that it was way too different. It was like yeah, Bao said like Batman, I guess, but like I felt it was way too different. Like I saw nothing in C when Crow started talking when everything was revealed. So
I don't know.
I want to move on to
Alrighty.
yeah, that's real quick.
Yeah.
Going back to Cold Steel 3. Let's go a little bit lighthearted here. Agate and Tia.
Tita.
My
yeah.
fault. Sorry.
Tita.
Tita.
It's another terrible fucking name, okay? Tita, yeah.
Hey, no Tita slander.
I love Tita. Okay, she's one of my favorite characters. I even said in a video once, somebody asked me like if I'd ever cosplay a Trails character. I said Tita.
That's funny.
Because why the fuck not? But go on, Tita and Agate.
You guys think there's gonna be something going on there?
No.
Do you guys like the big brother, little sister thing going on? Because it feels like they get hitting at something. That's gonna happen.
I mean, the only person that's not on board with this is Agate, apparently.
Apparently, no. I feel the only person that isn't on board is Tita's mom. Because I feel that I honestly feel that let's say this franchise continuously goes to the point where there is a significant time skip, and Tita actually does grow into a person that looks like a woman. Something tells me if she came onto Agate ain't gonna stop her. But if there is someone that's gonna stop her, it's gonna be her mama. If you know anything about Tita's mom, she is definitely the last person that wants them there. So I don't know. I get shows signs, especially in this game more than any other. Shows signs that he cares for Tita. I don't know, a bit more than a little more than I don't know.
You can say it, but I don't want to believe it.
I was gonna say Reen and Elise, but because you know how their relationship is. Reen is like, he definitely has a sister complex when it comes to
He's just
Elise.
protective, okay?
I know, right? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just a noble brother, older brother.
Yeah, but yet people are trying to ship them and whatnot, and then you see little signs of Elise actually liking Reen. But definitely know Reen.
Talk about that.
Yeah, Reen doesn't like her that way, but yeah, this is the whole sibling thing going on here. But something tells me Tita and Agate that might be a thing, at least.
What are the things about the story? Characters really. I felt Kurt in this game was more or less useless. Am I alone in that?
I feel that
battle or in story.
I feel Kurt's story was at least out of all of the characters the least significant, kind of like similar to Laura in Cold Steel 1 and 2, where in comparison to the other characters like Emma or Elisa.
Emma and Cold Steel 1 had fucking nothing to do with the plot.
I feel like
That's
Kurt's
true.
story hasn't really even started yet.
Yeah.
Because you don't even meet any of his brothers really in the game or anything.
True.
Yeah.
Kurt, I think it was mainly there because he had connections, and those connections will probably come through in Cold Steel 4.
Yeah. But yeah, he's definitely you can definitely call him the Emma of this game for right now in regards to Cold Steel 1, because he's right. Yeah, Emma was like tight shut. You ain't getting nothing out of her. Even in her final bonding event and the Cold Steel 1, she basically says, "Sorry for not telling you anything." That was basically like, you fucking.
Hey, what you say about Emma?
No, I wasn't an Emma fan until Cold Steel 2. Like, as far as like healing characters in my party, it was Elliot for Cold Steel 1 for me. Emma took over in Cold Steel 2, but yeah, I was just like, Emma basically didn't give you shit in Cold Steel 1 from a character standpoint. And
Kurt does at least have an arc though, with his inferiority complex and stuff.
I feel like it was like a really short arc. Like,
it was definitely the shortest.
It kind of unfolded in the background more than anything. Like, he talked about it because they wanted him to have an arc, but it didn't really quite feel like it was there.
Yeah.
I definitely feel with Kurt, especially if you don't do his bonding events, you really don't get much out of him.
Yeah.
Like, I went out of my way to do all of his, and I feel like if I didn't, I probably would have had the same opinion of him.
Yeah, can agree with that.
Good point.
I don't
didn't
wanna-
do anything.
I don't want to slander her because I know you like her, Shadow, but that's the same thing I done with Musei, and I done it with her because I fucking couldn't stand her.
What?
I done all of her bonding events because I could not stand her.
What? Okay, you know what?
Music.
I honestly
Look,
don't
her
blame you.
character for like the first 4 chapters was, "Hey, Reen, I'm gonna suck your dick." And it's like, okay, well, let's try talking to her. You know, like take it.
He's not wrong. That's fucking music.
That's what I got out of her. She felt shallow at first, so I dug deeper. I do like her. I just didn't.
Oh yeah, like at first I really liked Musei, but then like towards the end of the game, I was like, "You really as useless as Kurt on some levels."
She's definitely another character, probably more than Kurt. She is like a. You can definitely consider her a slutty Emma of this Cold Steel game because she basically doesn't give you anything as a characterization. Yeah, you see a couple of things when she takes out her what was her relative that was trying to take over that certain location.
Dude, Cayenne.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he
No, I'm-
she
I'll
she
say
got on the wig and whatnot.
I'll say this about her. She's the character I'm most excited to see like their ultimate payoff in the next game.
Yeah, that's
Because the ending gave me like big red flags. You know that part where who was it? Vita and the principal. They call her my lady or something like that at the very end of the game.
Le Guin?
Yeah,
Aurelia Le Guin?
Yeah,
And Vita
Aurelia.
Clotilde?
Because Vita only like worships the Grandmaster or whatever. So I'm just curious, like, what her connection is to Musei. And Musei said, she learned that little magic spell or whatever she tried on Reen from someone.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that was
They're
Vita.
witches.
Yeah.
They've all got to be witches then.
And then she said she had this like specific perfume and it wasn't really working. She
Right.
thinks she didn't do it right now. So she has a lot of she showcased that she has a lot to look forward to. Like in comparison to Emma, who basically said, "I'm sorry." And then you didn't until you get to Cold Steel 2 and you're like, okay, there's actually something here. Musei in this one was like, basically what Tarks was saying, I'm here to suck your dick. And then later on she's like, I got some stuff I want to like, open up to you, but you have to wait till Cold Steel. So at least we know that something is, to look forward to when it comes to her.
What do you guys think the best chapter was in this game?
Man.
It's been a while. I kind of don't remember like every specific one.
Is chapter 2 or 3 Trouble in Crossbell?
Yeah, Crossbell, exactly. Crossbell, I felt like that was like
My
shit
favorite
hit that
chapter
fan.
was early on. It was the Crossbell one.
Yeah,
Conflict in Crossbell it was called. I just don't know if it was 2 or 3.
It was one of
That
my
was three.
favorites, but not my favorite. Just because I don't like Yuna like that.
I love Yuna. I thought she was great.
I just find her annoying.
Her speeches in Crossbell, man. I don't know, it got me.
Yeah, it got me too. It really did.
Yeah. I actually think Yuna is very hot.
Really?
Yes.
I honestly feel like she has no sex appeal whatsoever.
I feel like she's.
I don't know. I
average.
think it's the thing where when you sprint with Musei and Yuna, you can kind of see under their skirt. So then maybe
Oh my
that's
God.
it.
Especially her outfit in Cold Steel 4, if you've seen it. It's like, what the hell happened here? Like, it fits her personality, but...
I'll be honest, guys, I never looked at Yuna that way.
I thought she was average. I thought she was okay.
I'm there for Sarah.
Sarah's.
Good
No, I like them all. Even Tita.
Beggars can't be choosers.
But no, this is Yuna was good. I think as far as chapters, honestly, man, in my opinion, this is probably my favorite chapter 1 in a video game ever. Like, I fucking love that ending of chapter 1, where the freaking Rutger brought in his divine knight and just basically fucked up what you was like, fighting this whole time and pulled out that giant hydraulic trident and sticked it in him and just fuck.
Yeah, that was hype.
Those
I can't
battles,
let that carry the whole chapter for me, but that moment itself was hype.
those battles are why there's no Vita version of this game.
Yeah,
They couldn't do that on the Vita.
I'm glad they couldn't.
It's just, man, yeah, that part right there. But that and the chapter where you're fighting the Dark Dragon and you have to go through that dungeon.
That dungeon
I think
ran
that
like
was-
shit, by the way.
Yes, I felt that
Think?
dungeon was annoying as hell. I was
Yeah,
like, they all
And it
splitting up.
ran
I was like,
pretty
yeah.
bad.
I enjoyed that dungeon, especially the whole swapping of characters and whatnot, because that brought me back to Final Fantasy VI days.
Well, I mean,
honestly, I didn't really have that many optimization
they done that
issues.
they done that in Sky 3 as well, that big
Yeah,
split dungeon, but I found that chapter ran pretty bad, or that dungeon in particular.
You talk about graphical issues, Tarks?
I had
talking about frame rate.
frame rate issues, yeah.
Really?
And
That's
I had
interesting.
even worse ones. You know, when you visit the mansion shortly after and there's like 200 NPCs and you got to talk for 5 hours?
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was when I first noticed like really, really bad frame drop.
that's interesting. I
That place
didn't-
ran the worst.
Are you guys playing on pros or vanillas?
Regular.
Regular.
Interesting. I was playing on a regular too. The only time I remember having frame rate issues was you remember when you're in, man, I can't remember the name of the location, but it was like this very big, I guess it was the island that you had to go and save Millium from. That island,
Yeah, I don't jump out.
and you were running through the foliage, and then you had to go through the cave. I remember there was some frame rate issues in that location and in battle, but other than that, I don't remember having.
Yeah, I don't
Go ahead.
remember having any type of frame rate issues. The only time I saw a dip was when you were in the city and then like you decide to look on like the background, the scenery. Then things start to get a little bit like
This makes me really interested on how that Switch version is going to hold up in certain parts.
Those parts are going to...
How would you
they don't
feel if they
figure out
locked the Switch version of 30 frames?
I thought they
I don't
did say they. I thought they did say they locked it. Are you saying how do I feel
haven't-
about them being locked?
Yeah, I haven't read anything about it. I'm just saying, how would you feel if they locked it?
they did lock it.
Yeah. As far as I heard, they did lock it at 30.
Yeah,
it's a turn-based RPG. Who cares?
I know, right?
You can run
So-
at 15 and be fine.
You say that,
Might
but the
be good.
visuals in this game look really, really good coming off of 2.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I
look at
agree. They
720,
do look
30.
good.
I think with it being on the screen that the Switch has, it's still good. It's still gonna look good. Just like how if you played Cold Steel 1 and 2 on your Vita, it looked good for, the small screen that it had. So I think bringing what Cold Steel 3 has down to the Switch screen, if you're gonna play it in portable, is gonna look fine. But yeah, as far as the whole frame rate thing, yeah, I really don't remember having any frame rate. Dark Dragon dungeon. That dungeon for me was a blast. Like I said, as far as you said they did it in Trails in the Sky 3rd chapter, but in Trails in the Sky 3rd chapter, I remember when I was playing it. This is a little bit after I played. Was it a little bit after or a little bit before I played Final Fantasy VI? Either way, I knew in 3rd chapter, I was just a teensy bit disappointed on the fact that you could not swap what teams you were using on the go with the press of a button. And during that time, I remember saying Final Fantasy VI Final Dungeon is better than Trails in the Sky 3rd chapter's Final Dungeon, only because I can swap my teams. And for that time, I was just like, Final Fantasy VI has it, man. For that Final Dungeon, I just love the fact that you can swap 2 teams and they continuously go through a dungeon, helping each other slowly but surely get to the end of that dungeon. And then I played Trails of Cold Steel 3. And not only do I have 2 teams, you get 3 teams, and then you get 4 teams. So for me, that's all I fucking wanted in a fucking turn-based RPG game is shit like that. And I heard we're gonna get more of that in Cold Steel 4. Which
Yeah,
is
I
good.
think you're gonna love Cold
Oh,
Steel
God.
4 then.
Someone spoiled it for me, like the party screen, and Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, it's like fucking Smash Bros, man. Everybody's there.
Wow, really?
Unless it's
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Like-
Shit.
Get ready for half the cast of the Crossbell games and for nobody to know who the hell they are.
Yo, I can't fucking wait, man. I'm all about it, man. Fuck. Dude, I love that. I love the whole swapping of parties and whatnot.
One of the things about this game is that, of course, it's an RPG, so I kind of felt like that kind of interfered with some story beats, because I feel like some dungeons were forced in there, especially some of the last dungeons. I'm like, did this really need to be a dungeon?
Which one?
I want to say like the dragon, the one with the dark dragon. I kind of feel
I can definitely understand where you're coming from, feeling that this may have felt like this was just slapped in there for
game purposes almost.
I was gonna say more like fan service, where you
The
basically
whole-
have both class. You have class 7, new and old here, and I think up to that point, you haven't done that, and I feel that they probably were like, man, we really have to have a certain point in the game where you have the full class 7 of old and the full class 7 of new going through it.
There was one.
Where can we just squeeze this in? Go ahead.
There was one dungeon like that had me feeling that way, but I didn't care because the party setup was so awesome. You know when the people from what's it called are invading the city, and you have to like go underground and catch them.
The sewer dungeon when
Calvert
was
it's
invading.
part
Calvert
two.
agents.
Part
Yeah.
2 of that where you like find the kid. You had that really random party.
It was basically the side character.
I was like, there's no point to this dungeon, but the party's so awesome, I don't care.
Yeah, I remember I was playing that side mission, and yeah, you have all of these cool people and Lecter for the first time, and you're just like, I remember I was playing it, and I reached to a certain part. I was like, oh, please don't tell me this is the end of the mission. I want to play more, and then it was more, and it did that like 4 or 5 times. Like by the time it was done, I was like, okay, I'm satisfied with the amount. Because I think out of all of this regular side missions, that was the longest one, and I enjoyed it, man. Yeah, that whole Calvert thing and the little kid running away and him. I wonder if that kid is going to show up in games.
It wasn't really a side mission though. It was part of the main plot.
It felt like a side mission.
Yeah, because it kind of interrupts the main plot and drags you through it, but then it sets up everything that comes after it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Understandable. Correct.
I guess speaking of everything that's coming after it, sorry guys if we're not exactly going in order.
No, we're all over the place.
I'm sorry about that. Leading up to, I guess we could talk about towards the end of the game, I guess, at this point, because we've been going on for about 46 minutes here. Ash is pretty basically a catalyst for a potential war with what do they call it? Calvert, right?
Calvert, yeah.
How do you guys feel about them using Ash in that capacity?
I find the whole written history thing itself interesting, but maybe I missed it, but I still don't get like why he was chosen as this like sacrificial lamb or whatever.
I have a feeling he has something to do with the children born in Hamel.
Yeah, it was the fact that he was one of. Remember, there was apparently. Correct me if I'm wrong. There was before we knew about Ash. There was 2 children of Hamel that everyone was always talking about. As far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it Joshua and Luve?
Yeah.
Okay. Right? So yeah, as far as everyone knew, it was 2 children that survived that whole Hamel incident, and then now they revealed, probably wrote that in when they created Cold Steel 3. Ash being the 3rd, child that survived Hamel, and it's all messed up about that. His whole thing about wanting to get some type of revenge on, what's his name?
Osborne.
Yeah, Osborne, and for him doing all of that stuff. And I feel that because him being set up when you're at the party and them having the whole Calvert gun and saying, basically planting it on Ash to use.
Hang on, that gun, that was from that little side quest where you go find that kid, right? That's where they picked that up at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That little fucking weird ass quest sets up so much.
Yeah. When you think
all right, go on. The gun from Calvert.
Yeah. So yeah, that gun from Calvert. So it was definitely like Osborne setting up all of this stuff. He's basically like, I don't want to compare him to Sosuke Aizen, but to a degree, he's like this Sosuke Aizen character where it's like, I know if Ash is close enough, he's gonna want to kill me. So if he's gonna want to kill me if he gets close enough, I gotta use this to my advantage and plant this gun on this specific, guy who's gonna meet up with Ash. Ash is gonna beat his ass and take the gun and then try and, beat my ass. So it's just like he's in the background doing all of this shit, knowing that, the reason that whole Hamel thing happened in the first place was because to go and attack Calvert, but that didn't turn out the way that they wanted to, and they had to hide it. So it feels like Osborne being like, well, there was one person I got fucked up by this whole Hamel situation. I might as well just use this little fucked up kid to do the plan that I wanted to do in the first place, which was attack Calvert. So he basically ended up using the whole Hamel catastrophe. Anyway, he basically got what he wanted out of his very initial plan by using one of the people that was fucked up by it. So I
Now,
felt
keep in
the
mind-
key
But even
around-
without his interference, wasn't this all set up because of this written history thing, though?
yeah, you could say that whole Destiny thing, if you want. But
it's
just
entirely possible that Ash actually has like zero free will.
You could
Like,
say that.
look at Sky 1. Joshua essentially had zero free will. We just didn't find out until the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
entirely possible that Ash is kind of under the same sort of control where he's just, acting based on stuff that's already been put into his brain. So like that gun ends up in his hands. He's like, fuck, those thoughts I've always had of killing Osborn. Goddamn, now I can go do it. It's here.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
like
it-
something is like in his brain controlling him, some type of dark presence or something like that.
Yeah.
controlling him.
I mean,
It's like
yeah,
pushing him towards this event where he's needed to trigger this war.
well, they were talking about some dark presence,
Yeah.
controlling people and whatnot, and doing this.
Isn't
And
that is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that the influence of the Great One or something
Miasma?
like that?
I thought it was the miasma. No?
It is the influence of the Great One that was split into whatever many pieces
Yeah.
Oh, the
beneath
steel.
the town. They said something about how like there's a seal on it that's weakening and it's causing people to become more aggressive.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm talking
Now this is one of the stupidest fucking parts of the game. This is very, very close to the end. Osborn was giving a speech about why he was doing everything that he was. He's like, I wanted to plunge the nation into chaos so I could use it to gain power and make everybody listen to me. And I'm like, what the fuck's that even mean? If it's chaos, you can't control any of them. But then they actually they expounded on that and they revealed something that was going on the whole game, but like the purpose of it. Did you guys picked up like the whole media manipulation angle?
I understand. Yeah, I understand the whole media manipulation.
Explain that one.
Well, throughout the entire game, there was like little bits and pieces where the media was being manipulated, stories were being rewritten to make everybody think that Calvert was their enemy, like always. So he used like the influence of the Great One or whatever the fuck it was to make people angry, but specifically sow the seeds of doubt against Calvert to turn the entire nation against Calvert.
Okay. I didn't pick up on that exactly, but I started to realize that was going on towards the end of the game where like he was giving his speech to go to war with Calvert for the most part.
Yeah.
One of the very first hints is like I think you can access it at the very start of chapter 1 once you can roam around the school. And it was like one of the coolest things to me to read it at the very start of the game. But in the school's library, there's all of those Imperial Chronicles, right?
Mhm.
There's got to be like 40 of them.
Oh yeah.
And the second last one is called like the Crossbell Special. And every Imperial article leading up to the Crossbell Special is like, man, Crossbell's not happy about this annexation. They're all pissed. And then the Crossbell Special comes around and it's like nothing but smiling faces here at Crossbell. And you're like, what the fuck happened here? Like they completely just
Cover
changed
up.
the story. Yeah, so that's when the cover up started happening, and that's when they started like sowing the seeds of doubt against Calvert. They started changing the viewpoint that the world had.
Osborn's reason to go at Calvert, like you said, he wants to create chaos, I guess you could say, but he also wants to, and I hate to say this, build a nation of strong people. Was that his whole?
He didn't. I don't think he said exactly why he wanted to go against Calvert.
His
But I have-
reasoning, he said, was he wants chaos because chaos like helps humanity evolve and go forward and all that.
Well, he wanted to use the chaos to create a war against Calvert, but why does he want to invade Calvert? My idea is that that's where the final piece of the Dark One is, or the Great One, or whatever the fuck it is. There's like, what is it, 7 pieces? And at the end of the game, we found 6. So one's missing, and I'm guessing it's in Calvert.
Or it's in it's going to be revealed sometime in Cold Steel 4. But you would assume that they would try to save something for the Calvart games that they have set up, because like they said, we have 20 years left of Kiseki. So it's like how many of those games, Calvart specific games? Because we already know one of them takes place in the holy city of Arteria, but how many of those games are in Calvart? And after we get all of those games in Calvart, what's next? Is it the giant? Is it a game that's going to be a giant war between Erebonia and Calvert? Is that going to be a game itself? And after that, is there going to be a game with them united and fighting the great, the Grandmaster of Ouroboros or whatnot? So it's like they do have a lot left to be told. So
I haven't played.
Actually leads into a question I have for you guys. It's how you feel, or rather, how much do you want from Code Steel 4 in terms of wrapping things up? Like,
It's
do you
not
want all our
going to.
current? You want all our big questions answered, or
I would like everything answered because we're not sure what we're getting next. That's the whole
Cold
thing.
Steel 4, I'm pretty much 100% sure will reveal the Grandmaster. Outside of that, I think the whole game is going to be like Erebonia versus Erebonia. Like the citizens and people rising up to tackle the government.
Yeah, the conclusion to Erebonia versus Erebonia. Because everything after that is going to be to Calvard.
Yeah. Calvard, Ambria, Remiferia.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of unexplored territory.
And then the whole church. Because, there's going to be a whole game that's going to base... I can't wait for that fucking game.
When you get to play as the Grouse Ritter?
Yeah, the Grouse Ritters, man. I need to see all of... I need to see Gaius in there. I need to see Wazi in there. I need to see Kevin. My boy Kevin needs to... Rias needs to be there. Like, that game's going to be lit, man. Oh, my God.
yeah, guys, did his big reveal shock you guys?
Gaius?
Yeah.
Sadly, I was spoiled.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming, but I didn't have much feeling towards it.
Same, Tarks. I was like, okay, cool story, bro.
And the thing is, I really do think you probably would have gotten something out of it, Shadow, if you played Trails in the Sky 3rd chapter and Owl, because those two games.
I played those. I didn't know.
Like I said,
I'm not his reveal.
Like I said,
I like that it answered why he was missing, because they address him as missing for the first 3 chapters, and then he pops back up and he explains it, and it's a good explanation, and it gives him somewhere to go for the next game.
Yeah.
But at the end of I don't know. It's just he's still just Gaius.
Yeah, that's like
with a new power.
Yeah, it was his power up, but I don't know, man. The stigma and the Dominion, all that stuff is interesting to me, and you can definitely, even though he's just Gaius, it does give him potential to grow even more as a character, because now he's more important to the overarching story. Prior to this, he was, at least to me, he was as relevant to the overarching story is to someone like Laura. To me, Laura, for me right now, from the overarching story standpoint, she's not that important. Absolutely. She's powerful, but she's not that important. And for me, prior to him being a Dominion, it felt like Gaius was like that. And like I said, with him being a Dominion now, at least when it comes to, like I said, that game with the holy city of Arteria and whatever's going on there, at least with him being a Dominion, he has to have some type of relevance when it comes to that game. And whatever he's going to be doing in there, hopefully it expands on his character even more.
Yeah, I'll care for it more when we get there.
Yeah, true. But I mean, come on, it was awesome when he pulled it out, man. And his fucking S-Craft, whoo, Lord.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's great, guys. I love you, but not really a big deal to me personally.
That was lit to me.
The structure of the last dungeon, where you're fighting basically everybody, all the members of Ouroboros. You're fighting the what's Osborne's, the Iron Bloods.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got a major spoiler here, guys. You're fighting against Millium, and then what happens to Millium?
Yeah.
How'd you guys feel about what happened to Millium?
I didn't think they would have the balls to kill off one of the Class 7 members.
Yeah.
They might not have. JRPGs traditionally don't like killing characters. It's rare that any character stays dead. And that's honestly one of the problems that I have with the series at this point. As you guys know, there's a character in Cold Steel 3. It's all fucking spoilers at this point. Azure Siegfried, Crow, should have stayed fucking dead.
Yeah.
Speaking of him, were you guys really underwhelmed with him in this game?
Absolutely.
Because
he should have never been in the game.
He did nothing.
As far as I'm concerned, they've now established a universe where anybody who's dead might not be dead, and that's
especially with the Black Workshop.
That's kind of not fun.
It seems like the only character that, at least from what I see, it seems like the only character that they are for sure not going to bring back. It seems like it's only going to be Luve.
Yeah,
It seems like every other character definitely has some type of possibility of return. Like, man, we see the whole freaking Courageous explode, and Oliver's like, "Goodbye, everybody." And freaking
Yo,
Laura's father
they're
is like,
they're not dead. I don't think
Yeah,
they're
so I
dead.
was just like-
Absolutely not.
And spoiler alert, I don't think Angelica's dead either.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
definitely.
Like
dead.
rule
She's
number
not
one,
dead.
if
No.
they don't show it, they're not
they're
dead.
not dead. Yeah. I was surprised when the Courageous blew up. I was like, wait, are they actually dead? I was
I
like,
feel
no,
like they
they're not.
should keep their deaths though in the Courageous, because Laura could be on her way to
I
be
think
the
they
Radiant Blade Master.
could
Oliver's
definitely
death affects his family, etc.
Mm.
I don't think the fans should live it down if those people aren't dead.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah,
we
especially at
need
this
that
point.
cornerstone.
yeah.
Also, speaking of that scene, was it weird to anyone else, even the bad guys, were like, "Wow, that's too much"?
Yeah, that was funny to me.
I was like, "Aren't you
Oh, you
guys
mean
like
from
trying to
Ouroboros?
kill us?"
yeah,
I don't know, because at the same time, most bad guys think that they're good guys. So
Especially
I don't know.
what Ouroboros was saying that they're out doing this mission that's debatably we don't know their full intentions, so we can't label it as villainous intentions. So when they do, at least when from my perspective, when I see them see that the Courageous blow up and they say that's kind of fucked up, when you think, oh yeah, well, aren't you a villain? I don't really know his full intentions, so I don't know if I could say that. But
Like,
I
I
mean,
think Sharon, sure, but like Campanella feeling bad, like really?
there's a lot of infighting in Ouroboros, though. So like,
Yeah.
there's always a
Like the
chance that
Anguis.
they're not really united in this.
like the Anguis, the freaking Arianhad and her knights and all that stuff. And they're considered good people.
Yeah, I don't know. There's probably not anybody. I don't. The series hasn't really established a villain like a truly evil
Osborn.
person. Is he though? I mean,
Nah.
he's
him and
fucked
freaking
up, but
what's the dude from that turned into a pillar assault in chapter? They definitely labeled him as a villain. I always forget his fucking name. Alba.
what
from
one?
Cold-
Where
from-
was he?
Blue hair glasses
The-
guy, him.
Yeah, the villain for the second chapter. They definitely labeled him as a villain. And he's definitely a character that died and he ain't coming back because Kevin turned him into a pillar assault.
Oh wait, you're talking Sky at this point.
Yeah, I'm talking about Scott.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that part. I'm like, what? Who the fuck in chapter 2 in Pillar of Salt? Yeah, that was a little long ago for me to remember at this
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
There's definitely characters they label as villains, and those characters usually are the ones that, again, like I said, Alba and the scientist from Zero no Kiseki. He's basically gone. We thought we would see him again. He's definitely gone. But I definitely do think they're labeling Osborn, at least as a definitely a heavy extreme antagonist, borderline
Yeah.
villain. What they end up doing with him at the end of Cold Steel 4, we're obviously going to know that answer. But I do think by the time we get that answer, I think it's definitely going to be more on the side of villain.
So,
yeah, I
we'll
mean,
see.
yeah, you're right.
so
Osborn is one of the most intimidating fucking people I think I've seen
His
in like
voice
an
actor
RPG.
kills it, man. Jesus. His
Not
voice
even
actor.
that, just like all the dialogue is so heavy, and there's double
My
meanings
friend
to everything.
pulled out. Yeah, my friend pulled out a point. He said that Osborn is the only character. I don't know if. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is he the only character in the entire game that ever? It's voice act
Wait, say that again.
Every line is voice acted.
for Osborn. Every single thing that Osborn said in this game is voice acted.
Well, he's not in the game until
True.
towards the end. But I
True,
guess
but-
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's why his voice acting stood out to me, because every time he's in a scene, he's voice acted. But go on. As far as like the intimidation factor that he has, Tarks.
I don't know. It's just something about his writing, because everything that he says, like, you can kind of convince yourself that he's right in some way,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you're like, I fucking hate you, you son of a bitch.
It's like
Like-
Thanos.
It's
See,
really conflicting.
And see, that's the thing when you say Thanos, man, because I said this prior. I'm not saying that I'm the first one that said this, right? But I do remember making the comparison to Infinity War, and then I hear a lot of other people saying, "Oh, this is like the Infinity War of JRPG," and Cold Steel 3 is technically your Infinity War, where all of the installments that you had previously all come together for this one game to take out this threat. But by the end of the game, or for Infinity Wars, saying for the end of the movie, it first of all is a cliffhanger. Second of all, more than one person dies. And third of all, that
wow
character
there's
that they
a
were
lot
going
of parallels.
that
here.
character that they go up against is, the character that they're going up against. At the end of the movie, it feels like he has won.
Yeah, he won.
And that's basically Thanos and Osborn. Where when you reach at the end of fucking Infinity War and you see what Thanos accomplished, and then it's like Thanos will return in part 2. You're like, man, fuck you, Thanos. But I understand it to some degree. You basically say the same thing with Osborn, and then you get to friggin' part, end of Saga, Sen 4, and freaking Endgame, which both of them have the word end in it. They fucking. Basically
the Saga Endgame. Wow, okay.
we basically are getting the rematch against this guy that won in the first, big crossover game. So, and it's funny because I doubt that either one of these like franchises knew that they were doing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Similar to each other. So it's just like it's crazy that there's a decent amount of similarities between the two.
How did you guys feel about that cliffhanger though?
Oh yeah, that shit was lit, man.
Okay, for this, I saw it coming, and I kind of had to explain. So before going into this game, one of my mutuals was like posting Cold Steel 4 spoilers, including just Reen and Crow being alive and all that. I also saw the first promotional image for Cold Steel 4, which I think is also the box art. You see like Reen in chains and his hair is white and just looks dark. So I knew that was a thing. So I knew something had to happen at the end of this game to lead up to that. So I was just waiting, expecting that to happen.
Me too. I mean, I think I think all 4 of us have seen, the little of Cold Steel 4 that what you saw, Reen in the chains, the fact that he's back and forth and he has white hair and he's doing something, and Crow is with him without the mask and this new brown outfit and whatnot. All of this stuff is in trailers, and I'm sure by the time anyone that's like, oh, why are you saying all of this stuff? I don't know this, bro. By the time you get to the trailers leading up to Cold Steel 4, you're gonna see all of this shit anyway. All right, unless you're one of those people that don't look at trailers, then I'm sorry. But the point is, going up to Cold Steel 3's ending. Yeah, I think I was definitely one of those people where I was just like, yeah, I to a degree know that something's gonna happen to Reen. It's going to be some type of cliffhanger that is going to be an L for the characters that I've been using this entire time.
I will say the ending itself was freaking awesome.
Oh yeah. But yeah, like I said, once again, the execution behind it was just spot on.
The thing about this, like anybody who's played a Legend of Heroes games knows that there's going to be a badass cliffhanger, right? And like
especially in the part 1 games,
and you're going to want to jump straight into the next one.
Yep.
So we all kind of knew something was coming, but these games always end like 2 lines of dialogue before I want them to. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't stop there.
This one more so than any other game prior to it, man. Because
I don't know, Cold Steel 1 was pretty fucking crazy too.
That's what I was gonna say. Prior to this,
he's flying away. His friends are in turmoil, and the game just ends.
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
The first chapter did a really good job too. I would say the only one that didn't have really a crazy cliffhanger until its part 2 game was Zero. Was kind of like a
Zero was kind of self-contained.
Yeah, it was pretty self-contained, but you see how it connects to Owl in such an amazing way as far as the whole time thing. But those 3, first chapter, Sen 1 and Sen 3, man, fucking Falcom definitely knows how to cliffhanger the fuck out its audience, man.
For me, I did not see it coming at all. I completely forgot that they end on cliffhangers, but this one really, like, I don't want to say it hurt, but it hit me. I was like, no, you guys did not just end this game like this.
I really didn't think it was gonna end. Because like I've heard things, man. I heard that, yo, you not gonna see it coming. When freaking he hopped into his own divine night and grabbed freaking a corrupted Valimar by the neck and just lift him up, and then that's the end of the game. Like what?
I was like, what just happened? I'm like, wait, no. I was like, the credits are rolling. Like, no, skip these credits right now. What happened?
Dude, I was still reeling from Millium, and then seeing Reen flying off the handles. I'm like, stop, he's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead already.
Dude, the freaking scene where Millium is like twirling in the sky with a giant red bloody scar on her chest, and there's a stream of blood, and you just see pieces of Eric Gatlum around her. Dude, do you know how long that scene was stuck in my head after I was done with the game? I'm going to sleep and I'm just seeing a fucked up Millium twirling in the sky. I'm like, can you just not play that, brain? I don't want to re-experience that.
You know, the worst part is, like, when Cold Steel 4 comes around, we're going to have to see, like, the aftermath with Eustace, and that's when it's really going to fucking hit.
Yo, they really
did. What's his face from Fire Emblem? Gonna turn into Dimitri from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah, dude.
I would be all down for that.
That'd be good. They
I would
really
love
have
to see fucking crazy Eustace.
They really have been setting up, because to a degree, not as much as Laura or Gaius, in my opinion. Eustace before Cold Steel 3 was kind of in that same category of characters where once they got their character arc, now they're just here for the ride type of thing. He was a little bit more relevant from a political standpoint than the other two, but I felt he was like still kind of in that category. And this game, there were some hints in Cold Steel 1 and 2 with him having this like little fun relationship with Millium, where Millium was trolling him, and he would like, block all of it and all of this stuff. But they really did drill that in Cold Steel 3 from the moment you meet him and Millium together. They're really trying to like push this. I don't want to say they're trying to ship the two. It's definitely not on some Agate Tita level type of shit. But
that's what it seemed like. Not as heavy.
I just saw this
kind of.
It was just siblings to me.
For Cold Steel 1 and 2, like they were definitely shipping fucking Eustace and Malchius. Falcon knows what they were doing. Those two characters exist for like fans to make BL fan fiction of and little girls to squee about it.
Dude, in the fucking final chapter, when how slowly but surely characters are shedding off and doing their 1v1 fight Saint Seiya style. When you get to the part where it's time for Eustace and Malchius to shed off, like the fight before that happens.
Boy, they're fucking.
No, you hear Malchius. I don't know if you guys caught him. Malchius is like, "You ready, Eustace, for this?" And Eustace is like, "Don't need to hold my hand, Malchius." I was just like, "This is fucking great, man." I fucking love this. But no, yeah, him and Millium, they really have been
buddies,
building of friendship between Millium and Eustace for this entire game, more than any. Cold Steel 1 and 2.
I feel like it was really like prevalent here in this game only because of what happened to Millium.
Yeah.
They really wanted
something tells me, because they say that when they're writing the story, the reason they don't give the Exceed or NIS the game to translate while they're working on it is because they said all the way up to the end of the game and developing it and all that stuff, they're continuously changing the story. So they don't want to hand the script off to Exceed and NAS for them to translate something, just for them to come back and like, oh yeah, we changed this, so translate this also. So I really do feel that when they got to the end of this game and they realized, okay, apparently we're gonna kill Millium, so now we're gonna go back and start setting up all of this Millium build up,
to make it important.
And since they were going to use this and make some type of connection with him and all of this stuff leading up to this, but sadly, people, I was spoiled by Millium's death.
Ouch.
That definitely.
Yeah, I was in a Discord and
there's your first mistake.
I know, right? I was in a Discord. I'm not going to say who it was, but someone had to a degree, it was my fault also, but I don't know.
Did they put spoiler tags and you're like, fucking click on that?
Exactly. They had a spoiler tag.
Oh my god.
They had a spoiler tag. I didn't know they was talking about. I didn't know they.
Scroll up.
It was just in a. It was just in a chat, and someone had a spoiler tag, and I was like, whatever. What the hell is the spoiler tag? Open it. It said these two words: Millium's death. I was like, what the fuck? No!
That happened to
Are you
me on
kidding
like,
me?
I think I don't know what I was doing, but I was on GameFAQs or something. I was looking at a message board. I think I don't know what game it was. Maybe it was Kingdom Hearts. I don't know. After a certain point happened in the story, I wanted to see what people thought, and they literally have stuff in spoiler tags. It says major spoilers. I was like, let me just click on this and see. The first thing is a major spoiler. I was like, oh fuck, why did I do that? That was the dumbest thing I could
Dude,
do.
man. Oh
That
my
kills
god.
me.
So I got spoiled on the Dominion reveal. I got spoiled on Millium's death.
Nah,
Like, fuck. I was just, like I said,
No, I'm putting this on you. You got no restraint, man.
I really should not have
None.
clicked on that. I really should not have clicked on that. And fuck the goddamn wiki. I'm never going back there.
yeah, don't. It's like I was telling a friend of mine. She's going through the games. I was like, don't look up anything. Don't Google anything. Don't look at nothing. If
Don't
you
even
need
go to
help-
Google Images for a character.
Yes. And I was
Don't
like,
even
if you
do
need
that.
help for something or to clarify something, message me first, and I will get the answers for you. Don't do anything.
Yeah,
You will get
yeah.
spoiled.
But like I said, the only reason I can say that they were setting up all good Millium stuff was because of the fact that unfortunately I knew that Millium was gonna die. So when I saw as soon as I saw Millium in this game, in the back of my head, I was like, you know this. And I'm like, oh, stop telling me that. I want to fucking know that right now. I'm not even. But the fact that I did know that, and I saw how they were using Millium for this entire game, I saw so many goddamn red flags that she was gonna die. I saw so many foreshadowings for her talking about.
Yeah, looking
I'll
back
do
on it.
I'll do anything for my friends. I'll turn on the intelligence agency if I have to. And I was like, that's a red flag. I'll save my life for my little sister. What was she calling her? Tilly or something. I'll do anything for my little sister Tilly. I'll give my life for her. As soon as she said, I was like, Jesus Christ, man, they're really setting this shit up. I really wish I did not know that she was gonna fucking die. But they set it up real good, man. If you didn't know that she was gonna die, a lot of this shit would have flew over your head. Oh, it's just Millium talking. It's Millium. Like, don't pay attention to her. But if you knew that she was gonna die and you hear this shit that she was saying for the entire game, she is like doing her fucking death. And golly. ahead.
So going back to the cliffhanger real quick.
Yeah.
So a lot of people when the game first came out in Japan, I heard they were really pissed about that cliffhanger.
Oh, with the cliffhanger?
Yeah, but
Well, I heard they're pretty pissed with CS4 too.
Oh damn.
In general.
I looked into that and I kind of get the reason why, but I don't think it'll bother me why they're mad about 4.
I haven't looked into it yet, so
There's no
Sure,
real
it's more-
spoiler.
nothing
It's
on
not
that
a-
one.
It's not a
Yeah,
spoiler reason.
Yeah, it's not a story. It's not a story or spoiler related reason. It's more of a gameplay mechanic type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna bother me either.
One thing about the story I just want to go over because we've been on the story for a while here, and I guess if
It's
you guys
fucking
have
trails, man.
Yeah, if you guys want to say any last things, we'll wrap up the story part. The structure of the last dungeon where you're fighting like everybody. I saw some people they didn't like the fact that the old class 7 stayed behind to fight everybody like McBurn.
Who didn't like that?
There's a couple of people. I've seen a couple in some comment sections. And I was kind of feeling that way too, because when we got down to Osborne and Cedric was down there, I kind of wanted the old class 7 to stop Osborne. The
Well, it makes
class
sense
7
for the new class though, because they're the new. They have their adventure to go through and all
True. I guess
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I definitely understand what they were going for in regards to, this is the new generation, push them forward. A lot of the times, I don't necessarily like that in a story where I felt they handled the old class 7 in a way that I felt was respectfully pushing them to the side, not in a way where okay, you characters are irrelevant now, so just get the fuck out of here. There was more of like, we are showing you how powerful these characters have become, and we are letting these characters first of all the way for the characters that you had since the beginning of the game to make it to the end of the game, and secondly, the people that the old class 7 are fighting, these are like fucking top tier key characters, man. They're fighting Arianha, they're fighting McBurn, they're fighting fucking Rutger, they're fighting really fucking powerful characters. When I see Elisa pull out this mech or fucking Emma pull out this new staff, I'm like, these characters are really fucking grown. They're really powerful now. Like they're really. So I don't know. For me, it felt like this is a good, respectful way to, push them to the side. They could have definitely fucked that up though.
Well, like everybody's in a pretty logical place. Like everybody has an effect on the world, but the ones that are the stars for a reason. Like even the fucking Capua delivery service there, Josette, she shows up in the game, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Actually, on that note, do you remember the what the fuck were the other two the people that she traveled with in Sky?
Her brother and
Her brothers.
She talks about her like losing her mansion at some point.
Oh.
And when she left her homeland, she lost her mansion. I'm pretty sure that mansion is the new school. They talk about how the school was like a converted mansion from an old elite family that was pushed out and all this shit.
Oh, I do remember them saying that. Oh, fuck. Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the Capua family mansion.
That is hilarious if that's the case.
So everything kind of exists in a logical place. I don't know. I'm fine with them being pushed to the side. It's where they should be for the game.
Like I said, there's a difference between being pushed to the side disrespectfully and pushed to the side respectfully, especially when you're trying to get your characters where they need to be. I felt they did it in the right way because I don't know if anyone here is a Saint Seiya fan, but Saint Seiya Omega, that's how you're not supposed to do it. Saint Seiya had a squad, then they came out with a new squad in Saint Seiya Omega, and they got disrespected for the new squad, and it's just like I was hoping that they didn't do that in this game because Cold Steel 2 apparently, going through that final dungeon, they apparently took an homage from Saint Seiya, and they kind of did it in this one too. The whole trope where there's characters trying to get somewhere and they're shedding off and be like, "Don't worry, I'll fight this person. You guys go ahead." That trope was created and popularized by Saint Seiya. That arc created Bleach and the whole Soul Society because Bleach does it too. That whole arc in Saint Seiya created Bleach, and a whole bunch of other anime did it after that. So I was just hoping that they didn't do it in a disrespectful way, and they did it. They did it well, so I was happy about that.
Okay, fair enough. I'm the only one that's weird. So we've been going at the story for a while. Any last things that you guys want to mention about story? Anything at all?
There's something I want to bring up. I got to send you guys some pictures here over the chat, though. It won't be necessary for you to see it on stream, really. We'll be able to explain this pretty easy.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you first these two pictures, if my fucking mouse will work. All right, so one of these pictures is from the prologue, and the other's from chapter 3. Can you spot the difference?
Do you think they're gonna?
Yeah, what's
I might see where you're going with this. Do you think they're gonna do what they did with Al? Or
I think that's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay, but before that, well, you already know this. In Cold Steel 1, they did the same thing, and so far, that's really had no payoff. Except for, now that we know about Millium. It's possible, but I kind of doubt it.
In Cold Steel, in the Cold Steel games, it coincides with when it happens in the AO games because those take place at the same time. In Cold Steel 1 and 2 and Zero Now.
Yeah.
So there's a time skipper, like a time reset, essentially.
Yeah.
That caused so much to change. And I'm looking at these pictures, okay? So for the people who obviously can't see this, in the prologue of Trails of Cold Steel 3, you're at Naval Fortress, right? And you can see like the new Class 7 here. But then in the second picture, when you're in Chapter 3, it's the new Class 7 plus Angelica.
Mm-hmm.
You have the old Class 7 in another picture here, and then the old Class 7 plus Aurelia Le Guin.
Yeah.
You don't think they were trying to hide these characters because it like clutters up the prologue or anything, right?
See, that's what I thought in Zero, and then you obviously figure out that that's not the fucking case. It was actually a story-related thing. I think this time around, man, I really want to. They did that for, the fact that they just did not want to show those specific characters at the time in the story. I really want to believe that.
I can't believe that they removed these characters just to make the intro a little easier to understand. Because we have fucking Gaius here, who immediately after this, for the first 3 chapters, they're like, "Yo, I don't know where Gaius is." I'm like, "You showed us him in the prologue. We know he's fine." So I really don't feel like they're trying to hide anything. I
don't
think
know.
there's another time mechanic going on.
You think so?
I don't know. I think it's as simple as what Riku said. It's just they
No.
didn't
What
want
I'm
to
saying
reveal
is that
much.
man, I don't know what the fuck to believe, man. Because
I noticed this when I went back because I went back to
I think we all did.
Nightmare Run, and I was like, wait a minute, what's her name is here? What's her name isn't here? And I'm like, did they just do that not to confuse people? And that's like, I kind of like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, I guess.
But do you think there's time shenanigans in Cold Steel 1 as well where they did this? Or is that just a hide?
There is time shenanigans in Cold Steel 1. I think those time things affect like the entire world.
Oh
And
yeah.
since Cold Steel 1 and 2 do take place at the exact same time as Zero and Ao, then Cold Steel 1 and 2 are affected by that time bullshit.
Yeah,
Wait a
but
minute.
what about 3 though? Like, okay, you're
That's
trying
what
to
I'm
say.
saying. I'm saying I think there's more time shit still going on.
And you think that that's going to be revealed in 4 in regards to exactly what time shenanigans are going this time?
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, but
Man, I hope so too. But what I'm saying is that, dude, the way they pulled it off in Zero and Out, I felt was like so well put together. It was like, I don't know. For me, it felt like from a story standpoint, it was lightning in a bottle. I really do hope that if this is the case this time around, that it does not, that it does not fucking, could turn out well. Like we start to see a lot of plot holes and shit, because that was really, really, really dangerous from a story to even.
Oh, definitely. Once you introduce any form of time travel, story begins to fall apart.
Oh, wait a minute. You guys think there's time travel stuff going on here?
You want us to just spoil it for you, or
There's shit that happens in AO that has to do with time manipulation.
Oh, really?
And it does in a way recur in Cold Steel 1 and 2, but unless you played out, you're probably not going to notice it.
Yeah, and that,
okay.
yeah.
I was getting ready to dismiss your guys' theory because that didn't make any sense to me. But this
Yeah.
saying there's time manipulation. Okay.
No, yeah, because this is we're literally only saying all of this in these screenshots because this happened in Zero now, where in Zero at the beginning of the game there are characters that are with you, that are not with you, and then by the end of the game they are with you. Basically, just like what's happening in these screenshots, but
No.
like what we assumed when you see it in these screenshots, where they're just not showing you the characters because they don't really want to confuse it. In that game, there's a story related reason why that fucking happened the way it happened. And that's why he brought up these screenshots, and he's asking us, do we think that shit is happening again?
Oh man, I think that's a little bit crazy if there is some type of time travel mechanic going on here, because the story is already complicated enough as it is.
The time travel stuff is already a part of the plot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's already in there. If you, like I said, if you play Zero in a row, like that was the biggest
call it-
plot reveal.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
shouldn't call it time travel, but time manipulation.
yeah,
it's
it's
already a
definitely
thing.
time.
It's an established thing in the universe.
Yeah,
I don't
'cause-
think that they would hide them just to, risk not confusing us. I can't see that being the thing. They clearly have no problem with confusing us.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I also
Can we?
somebody
yeah,
had said once that the battle in the prologue and the same battle in chapter 3 might not happen on the exact same date in game, but I couldn't find any proof of that. They said they're off by like a day or two or something.
That's interesting. That is interesting, man. Fuck. See, this is what they want us to. They want us to sit here and with this giant billboard of, okay, you see, in the first version,
That's the whole point, man.
but in the actual, when we actually get in there, it's June 18th. What the fuck? Like, they want us to be flipping out and doing all of this shit. This is, like I said, when they were creating this story, they are continuously changing things through its entirety, which is why they don't want to give it to the translators. So they're definitely, because when it comes to time related shit, man, you have to, once you create your story, you got to go back and make sure that everything plays out. Yeah, everything plays out in regards to whatever time manipulation you decided to slap in there.
Yeah,
So,
you don't want to end up in a fucking Terminator 1 paradox.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Or God forbid Zero Escape Part 3 for anybody who's played that.
Oh, I'm gonna be playing those games, so I'll know what you're
Okay.
talking about.
Well, good
Don't
luck.
spoil anything there.
All right.
I mean, the second game's a masterpiece. The third game is a little out there. I guess.
Okay. I actually do have one more thing as far as story related. Reen's ability, spirit unification.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Because there was heavy implications that this motherfucker's a vampire.
Yeah, god damn it. I forgot about this.
Yeah.
There is heavy implication that this motherfucker's a vampire. You see the I can't remember what the little witch grandmother of Emma. She over here, when you first get a divine song, they show a part where she's basically going in and it looks like she's biting Reen on the neck, and they already revealed that she is, what do they call it? Basically a vampire. I'm wondering.
There was a short story about it too. Some vampire lovers.
Red Rose. Yeah, the Red Rose novels and whatnot. They basically confirmed that she is a motherfucking vampire. And they basically showed her biting Reen's neck. And we already have all of these characters coming back from the dead. Vampires are basically immortal. Him with his red eyes and white hair doesn't help his case. Do you think that Reen is a goddamn vampire?
Oh wow, what's sad is
I don't want him to be.
I
I'm gonna lean towards no, but I could see it.
I could see it now because
Dude,
the fact you bring it up, it doesn't surprise me for some reason.
Because it's like when I was in the library reading all of those books and I saw the existence of vampires when they said it in the books. There's fairies, there's what they call them, the dwarves. Is it the the norms? There are norms. There's gnomes. There's fairies. There's all these like folklore type of that up to this point you didn't really know that they exist in Trails, but now you fucking know. They have it right here in these fucking books. And this whole vampire thing with Reen is just like, and characters coming back alive. I was just like, fuck, this motherfucker Reen's for the entire game up to that point. I was like, this motherfucker Reen's a vampire. I don't know how they're gonna reveal this to me, but they're gonna reveal that this motherfucker is a vampire. And then I see old girl bite him on the neck, and I'm like, this motherfucker is a vampire. And that's when I was really trying to figure out about his backstory and why Osborn was getting rid of him. I was coming up with all of these crazy things, man. He went to some location and he fucked some Morgan vampire suck, and she had Reen, and Reen, he had to get rid of Reen because he didn't insane. But we still don't know Reen's full backstory yet. So all of that shit might still be the case and might be revealed to some degree in Coastal 4, where he's basically Ultra Instinct for basically the entire game.
I think that's the case.
Tokyo Xanadu referred to him as Demon Prince Reen, and I kind of hope they go in that direction. I mean, vampires just kind of lose me a bit.
I mean, yeah, but you see, they don't want to call them vampires.
No, yeah, they really don't. I mean, it's bad enough we got fucking witches and gnomes and black workshops and all these.
Yeah.
What is
Millium?
What's Millium called?
Homunculus.
Homunculus. We got and all the Anguis, the Grouse Ritter, and the Style Ritter.
Yeah,
there's so much to keep track of.
In here. We got goddamn mechs, super powered mechs, man. Yo, they have everything for everybody. You like mechs? You like dragons? We got both of them, huh? What series got dragons and mechs and is as popular as this? Like, what the fuck going on?
Okay, so interesting points. Bob, you got anything? Last thing you want to say about the story?
Not particularly that we didn't cover, honestly.
Okay. So going to a more lighthearted thing. I got mad. As a matter of fact, I got livid. As a matter of fact, I threw my controller on my bed and walked out the room because I kind of viewed everybody's I guess you could say private action during the festival.
Mm.
And one character in particular became a ship became completely utterly canon. So,
and that is
Alicia.
I mean, I thought you knew by this point that she is the canon.
Okay, so first of all, I was in denial. That's first of all.
Wait, did you do Emma's as well, or?
I did do Emma's as well. I'm gonna bring that up too. But the fact that they kissed, I was like, God, fucking
but
damn
Shadow,
it.
This is what made you
First-
angry.
That's
Really?
what-
This isn't the
pissed
first
me
time
off.
they kissed, though.
Wait a minute. When did they kiss before?
If you choose her as your romance option,
Nah, fuck that. We didn't do that.
If you choose her as a romance option at the end of Cold Steel 2, they kissed on the lips in that game too.
Oh, absolutely not. I didn't do that. That's why.
No, Jesus Christ. Okay, well I had to get the platinum, so I had to see literally everyone. I had to see like the final relationship for little characters like Milliam and whatnot, who, you know, high five and shit. I saw all of them, and as far as the person that went the furthest, it was Elisa. And at that point during Cold Steel, I was like, yeah, Elisa is the canon relationship. These motherfuckers kissed, and no other relationship went that far. And then I reached to this game, and they kissed again. Like, yeah, there's no way that Elisa's not like the canon relationship. I mean, if you know the fact that, you know, at a point when they were creating Cold Steel, that Elisa technically was supposed to be the main character, and Reem was supposed to be the side character, and apparently they had this whole story where Reem was supposed to. They were supposed to get together. Reem was supposed to go off on some like Joshua type of thing. And Reem was actually supposed to die. And, you know, Elisa was, you know, the main character. She was supposed to go on with her life or whatnot. But they scrapped that whole story. They switched Reem to the main character and Elisa's the side character. But the point is, when they recreated the story, at that point in the story, they already knew that Elisa was going to be the canon relationship, you know, because
you know what, it ain't my canon. All right, it's still all right. That's not my canon. Okay,
Is it any consolation that they made her hot as hell this time?
Yeah, man.
Because I mean, she got a upgrade.
She got a blow up. She got a blow up. You can't deny that.
And
you gotta
besides,
give Elisa some credit.
Your situation can't be worse than mine. Like Sarah's my fucking girl.
Oh yeah, that's true.
She's not even really an option.
Nah.
And here's the worst part. You were mad that fucking Elisa got canoned. Sarah to me was always the fucking MILF character. They answered how old she is in this game. Do you guys remember how old she is?
28.
She's 28.
20. She's fucking younger than I am. When did MILFs get my age?
Well,
remember, this is Japan, so 20.
Yeah.
Anything pushing 30, you're a freaking.
Yeah, you're a fossil. Yeah.
I'm fucking old, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's understandable. But yeah, Sarah definitely doesn't look her age. She definitely looks like she looks like she's a nice young 32 at the lowest, but that's not the case when it comes to these games. If you watch JoJo's,
she looked like a late 20s.
She could pass for 29, I guess, but yeah, 28 is just like, whew. Like she's definitely a busty 28, but I've seen some busty 28s in real life. But Elisa is the canon.
One of the things I noticed when I did Reed's sister and the princess is that the princess was like, "Oh, we'll win over Alicia, Laura, and Emma, and everyone else in that order." I was like, "That's low key the pecking order right there." they did it. It's the top 3 right there, potential candidates, and we all know Alicia is canon. But I thought that was pretty funny.
You see all of the characters that were dancing with each other during the dance, and you know, Reem was dancing with Elisa. When everybody was dancing with, it feels like what the game who they were trying to ship with the game. You saw who Emma was dancing with.
It was Machias.
Yeah, boy, Machias. Yeah, Machias might be your canon relation.
Okay, so first of all, no, that doesn't.
No, Emma deserves better.
No, absolutely not. You don't count.
But think about it.
No, I don't have to think about it. I don't want to think about it, okay?
Think about it. They're both like the smart students of class 7, man. They kind of been like on low key competing from an academic standpoint.
Y'all hear something? I don't hear nothing.
He just does that when he's like, no, Marcus already has a.
Yeah,
it's what his boy uses.
Yeah, let him go. I don't care. Let him go with uses.
Uses over there crying over the death of Milliam right now. He don't give a fuck about nothing.
Let them console each other.
Emma deserves better. Makis is the kind of guy who's like, if you're gonna fuck, you gotta fill out 5 forms and then you do it through the bed sheets. Emma deserves better than that.
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Tarks.
I should Makis and Emma. I've been shipping them since Cold Steel 1, to be honest, anyway.
You made me
It's funny
sick.
we bring up this whole shipping thing because that's one of the big issues people have with 4.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait,
Mhm.
so wait. Oh no.
Yeah,
Don't-
there is.
Oh no, you'll probably like it knowing you.
It's not canon from a shipping relation standpoint, but it's something that apparently a lot of people don't like in their gameplay mechanics when it comes to whole shipping and things. If you think hard enough,
Most of the time, this shit's fucking optional anyway.
yeah, that's what I'm
It's,
saying.
it's definitely nothing to bitch about.
I'll tell you
these
this: you
are
give them
just what
options again.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm about to say. I thought
They're
that was
just-
like set stuff in stone.
No, it's definitely not stuff in stone. All of these are just what if scenarios and events that, if you want to see how this could have turned out, then here's a cutscene for it. That is all it is. I don't know why people are so mad about it, but whatever.
Okay. So all right. So we've been there for an hour and 40 minutes. I didn't think we were gonna spend that much time on the story, but goddamn. Let's talk about the gameplay.
Let's go.
So
I'm gonna go last.
Yeah, because we probably got a whole bunch to say. Mr. playing on Nightmare on his first run. For Tarks and Bao, what did you guys play the game on?
Normal.
I just played it on standard.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I did as well. I played a couple of battles. I upped the difficulty to hard, and I was like, some of these enemies are ridiculous. Because go ahead.
There's a major inconsistency on some of the bosses. And even some of the large enemies, they can wipe your team in a single move,
Yes.
even on normal.
I know it's that hard, but on normal, well, we're gonna talk about that in a second. But normal, I kind of breeze through it. But yeah, they're like enhanced abilities. It was like, what the heck? You're just constantly healing. I can't do enough damage to you at this point. I have to keep doing crazy stuff to make sure that you never go. So I kind of felt like it was getting kind of cheap. But as far as the new mechanics and everything that was added, how did you guys feel about it?
I love the Brave Orders because it gave everyone use and, of course, had a depth to the combat.
Yeah, I was going to touch on Brave Orders too. I think Brave Orders actually became one of the most important parts of strategy because there were so many bosses that could wipe my team in one hit. But something like Ebencrest, the one that's like
Yeah.
Perfect Guard and Reflect, saved my ass so many fucking times. So I don't know, playing in the Brave Orders definitely added a lot.
Yeah, I always had to keep it in mind that the Brave Orders, like, they ran out on the characters' turns. So I always had to make sure I got the order down. That was pretty fun for me. The break system, again, I found a way to break that completely because I was constantly breaking enemies towards the end. I thought that was a welcome addition, actually. What else?
I do think this is the least exploitable of them all, but it is still a bit exploitable. No, in almost every other game, there's at least one character who's so massively fucking overpowered that you can never lose. Like, look at Fee. She has pretty much perfect evasion.
Yeah, if you set her up
Like,
right.
And almost every time she gets attacked, she counterattacks.
So did you guys have any broken setups that you noticed, or?
Not broken, but my Irene pretty much have recovered almost 200 CP a turn. Did that count?
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, I didn't.
So I always spam Gale because he never ran out of CP.
Gale was ridiculous. I feel Gale was ridiculously overpowered. Tarks, what about you? Did you ever any broken setups?
Not broken. I did find issues, like slight issues with Reen as well, where his AT delay is incredibly high, so he can push enemies really far back in the turn order quite often. But yeah, I don't know. I did find this one of the least exploitable. I think Brave Orders are a tiny bit exploitable, but you have to really work to get somebody that's truly broken this time.
I'm not gonna ask Rika because I'm sure you're gonna go in. But one of the things I discovered was with Muse. I set her up with like cut arts or something like that, casting time down. Then I had her cut water arts down, and then I had like cut EP by like 25%. And then I set up the order that lets you instacast. And
Divine Song.
Yeah. And I discovered it with one boss. And I did it once. I did Diamond Nova, and she kept going in the turn order every single time. I literally was able to spam Diamond Nova like 4 or 5 times in a row, damn near 6 times. until her EP ran out, and she just single-handedly killed bosses. I was like, well, I'm gonna keep this setup because I discovered it.
Yeah, so I kept the thirsty girl off my party, so I never found that.
Man.
Oh man, music is so much fun.
I know,
Don't
right?
look at me like that.
So before we let Riku go in, you guys have any last things to say about the battle system and stuff?
I will say I'm happy that you can't just fucking summon Valimar at will. And that you can't just always go into your, what the hell do they call it? Reen's powered up form.
Oh, spirit unification.
Yeah, in Cold Steel 2, those two things were like, I think they were pretty much always an option, and they were kind of fucking broken as hell.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I forgot you can call on Valimar in Cold Steel too. I forgot about
Yeah.
that completely.
I love the mech battles in this game. I love the fact there's actually 3 now on your side instead of just Valimar.
I kind of felt like the mech battles was like you had to try really hard, especially if you were playing on normal, you had to try really hard to lose those. The only real mech battle was towards the end that I had to actually pay attention.
Mech battles, they do take strategy, but like such a light amount of it that you do kind of have to be an idiot to lose them.
Yeah.
No offense to anybody here who might have lost any, just in case.
I think I came close once to someone even getting in like dangerous HP.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to balance the stats in those. But it is a fun, like new little addition to gameplay. It's kind of like regular combat, but stripped back. Your characters don't move. Kind of feels like an old Final Fantasy in a way.
True.
I feel like Xenogears to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, Riku. You wanna go in real quick or?
Man, I'm gonna try my best to keep this short. Okay.
Go ahead.
But firstly, I want to say, as far as Tark's saying that this, in his opinion, he feels that this is the least exploitable.
Without having to bust your ass to pull it off, anyway.
Okay, if you throw that in there, sure. But I feel when I entered this game and I was like, okay, it's my first Trails game that I'm gonna try and play on Nightmare. That means that I expect the game to not hold back on me. It's not gonna hold back on me, game. I'm not gonna hold back on you. So anytime, this is probably what significantly, no, not even probably, this is definitely one of the main reasons, other than fishing, because I love fishing. But this is definitely probably the second biggest reason why my playtime was so high. You're like, Jesus, why you have 257 hours? It was because I was definitely, a lot of that time was me sitting and looking at all of my Quartz customization setups for every single character that I got and optimizing it to the absolute fullest. You saw all of that fishing that I was doing. I was fishing for snow crabs and another fish that gives you U material. And if you use U material to level up certain quartz to the rare and super rare versions. But you gotta have a lot of fucking U material to do this. So that's why I was fishing so much. It's not because I thought the fishing game was fucking awesome. I was addicted. No, I was addicted to getting that U material. So with me setting up my characters in a way where they're so powerful, when you get Muse, first of all, I want to say this. There's an art that I felt was broken since it got introduced in Cold Steel 1. And they kind of nerfed it a bit when it moved over to Cold Steel 2, but then they really didn't do anything to it moving from Cold Steel 2 to Cold Steel 3. And this art is called Chronoburst. If you know what Chronoburst is, it costs like 400 something EP, without any EP cuts or whatnot. And you cast it, you insta-cast it, and it gives you 2 more turns. Now you have 2 turns. In Cold Steel 1, if you use it, you have 2 more turns. And on your first turn, if you use a casting move, you can instantly use that casting move. There's no casting, and then, on your next turn, you instantly use it in your second turn left. In Cold Steel 2, when they reintroduced Chronoburst, they changed it to where when you use Chronoburst, you have 2 extra turns. But on your first, if you use the art, on your first turn you'll use the casting, and then on your second turn you'll use the art. So that's both of your turns gone. Moving to Cold Steel 3, it's still the same way. So I knew once I got my hands on Chronoburst that this game is going to become a lot easier. Up to that point in the game, I felt that a lot of the mechanics was pretty balanced for the most part. The only thing I saw up to that point that looked a bit broken was Sledgehammer, the brave order you get for Yuna.
Yeah, you know.
I probably
Yeah.
used that like 900 times.
Yeah.
because of the fact that, first of all, before you even get Sledgehammer, you get like a, I don't want to call it a half-assed version of Sledgehammer, but you get something similar to Sledgehammer. It's Agate's Brave Order, and it's basically Sledgehammer, but it costs more. It gives you 100 damage and I think like some extra strength or critical. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, cool. Brave Order that gives you break damage.
300%.
And then you lose. Yeah, you lose again. You're like, oh. And then around that time, that's when you get Yuna learns her Brave Order, and it's Sledgehammer. Doesn't cost 3 bravery points. It costs 1 bravery point. It is not 150 break damage. It's 300% break damage. Like, what the fuck? For one, you're trying to tell me for the low price of 1 bravery point, I get 300 break damage for, I can't remember how many turns it was, but it was too many turns.
It's 3.
It
I think it's
3
3
sure?
turns, yeah.
It's
3 or 5.
It's like 5. It's like
My
I
Ash
definitely know
was
it's more
built for
than.
break damage too, so it just kind of
Yeah.
added on to that.
Dude, it was ridiculous. That was the first thing I saw out of all of the bravery points. I thought all of them were kind of fine. Honestly, looking back on it, in my opinion, no bravery point should even be 1 point. But I'm gonna get to that.
Orders, yeah.
Yeah, no brave order should be 1 brave opinion. As far as like balancing, if you want to talk about balancing, because if I'm going to talk about anything that I thought was a legit con in this entire game, it's the balancing of this game. But let me continue with this fucking Chrono Burst. When you get Chrono Burst, you're like, okay, I got Chrono Burst. I know how. If you know how it works, it is pretty cheap. But the fact that Chrono Burst costs so damn much, like I said, it costs 400 some odd EP. You can't really spam this. You're gonna burn through your EP really fucking quick. But when you get Muse, and for the low price of 2 bravery points, you use Art Celebration that gives you your consumption of EP. You're only using 15%. They said 15% of what your overall EP would have cost. When I saw this, and not only that, when you activate Art Celebration, it gives you EP back. I can't remember how much, like 20% or whatever. But it costs, like I said, it only costs points. That's way too low for such a benefit. So when I first got Muse and I saw that this was the case, and I already had Chrono Burst on her, the first battle I used Muse and I used Chrono Burst on my first turn. So I lost 400 EP. And then I used Art Celebration, basically got all of that EP back. And I still have 2 turns because Brave Order doesn't use a turn. So I have 2 turns left. I used her little Kiss Bullet move, and that move basically procs critical or some type of affinity literally every time. So you get a bravery point off of that. And then my second turn, I could use Chrono Burst again, but this time it doesn't cost 400. It costs like 24 EP. Yeah. So now I use Chrono Burst again. I get 2 more turns. I use the Kiss Bullet move and get another fucking bravery. And then I still have another turn. I could use Chrono Burst again. It only costs 24. And freaking Muse, when you first get her art, has like fucking 300, 400, maybe 500 EP.
Yeah, she has a lot.
Use it, and I think the only character that has more EP than her is probably Altina. But like I said, Art Celebration, I think out of all of the bravery orders, that one is definitely the most broken.
So wait a minute, did you spam that combo throughout your whole the rest of your playthrough when you discovered it?
Sadly, I did.
Okay.
So Shadow, are you thinking the same thing I'm thinking? You had like basically an instant win, and it took you 257 hours.
I had an instant win, but it's like it felt like I cheated. It felt like I cheated myself out of good battles.
Now,
go ahead.
I want everybody's answer on this because I'm curious. The game has all these rules and all these mechanics set up, and if you look hard enough, you can find a way to break it, and the game will reward you essentially by allowing you to actually break it. Do you actually think it's a good thing when a game lets you, break it using its own mechanics, or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. I like you experimenting and finding things like that.
I like it to a degree because it's like certain things when it comes to that. I don't know. For me, it takes away the satisfaction of overcoming a challenging boss, and you remember that's the main reason I went to Nightmare in the first place. I know I said going into Nightmare that I'm not going to hold back, and I don't want the game to hold back. But it got to a point where I would use Sledgehammer. This is what happened against the fight against Ariane Hod and her girls. I broke all of them, right?
Mm. That fight had to be a pain in the ass on Nightmare. That fight had to be.
It would have been a pain in the ass if I didn't play it the way I played it, right?
But did you feel? Well, ultimately, did you feel you need that combo? Because
no, to be
felt
honest,
completely broken without it. Like it kind of feels like on Nightmare, you have to find a broken strategy.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Here's the thing: as far as I heard, Chrono Burst and Art Celebration have not been touched in Sen 4. Apparently, they have not been. They have the only thing I heard as far as Bravery Order. The only thing that changed from a gameplay is the fact that now there are certain levels to it. So let's say with Art Celebration now, when you get Art Celebration, it might start off a nerfed version of Cold Steel 3's version. And remember the chest in Cold Steel 1 and actually Cold Steel 2. You remember the challenge chest in Cold Steel 2? Apparently there are challenge tests in Cold Steel 4 where you do this challenge test, and when you beat it, that specific bravery order is going to upgrade into a better version of it. And apparently the versions that we have of these bravery orders, Cold Steel 3, when you get them in Cold Steel 4, they are nerfed versions of what you have. And you have to upgrade them to what they used to be, and you can upgrade them to be even stronger than what they were in Cold Steel 3. So it feels like in Cold Steel 4, when they give you the bravery order points, if you're playing on Nightmare, apparently the beginning is going to be really fucking hard, and the ending might be very fucking easy. Yeah, as far as on paper, that sounds like what's happening, But I told myself when I'm going into Cold Steel 4, I'm not using Chrono Burst. Not on any of my characters. I'm not doing that to myself because I broke this game goddamn wide open. Like you don't even want to see my. I have it saved. I could upload it if you want to see it. But my battle against the dragon at the end of the game, he was a joke. I fucking destroyed him. I destroyed Ariane Hut so bad that I didn't even get to see her freaking S-Craft. I'm playing on my second playthrough. I'm gonna everyone's S-Craft. I'm gonna give them a chance to see their S-Craft. I'm like, Jesus.
Hold on, Bob. What do you think about broken mechanics like that and being able to exploit them?
I was gonna say in regards to Tark's question about how I feel about it. I was gonna say it's a good thing, but then I thought of a perfect example of when I don't like it, and that's Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So if you remember Xenoblade Chronicles 2, they have the break, topple, whatever system.
Yeah.
By late game, if you can pull that off perfectly, there is no challenge in the game whatsoever, and it kind of killed my.
Well, it rewards
interest
you
in the game.
Your skill for the most part. You know how to perfectly time it.
Well, here's the thing: in that game, it takes no skill, honestly. And when you're in game and you fight those bosses, there's no challenge whatsoever. But I can give you an example of when I do when a game can help you break it. And a perfect example of that is Shin Megami Tensei. Because if you don't break Shin Megami Tensei, the game is probably going to break you.
Which game in particular? Which SMT game in particular?
I would say 4 would be the best example. I don't know if you played 4 before. Is horribly balanced because there's no defense stat. No. So any boss, if you give them the chance, will straight up wreck you. But if you wreck them, then you are going to have an easy time with the game.
It kind of feels like you got to wreck them first before they wreck you. You got to take advantage of everything first before they.
Right, and that can be a negative for some people, but in that game, you're going to be raging in that game if you let them do that to you. So
I don't know. So you remember what I was talking to you about prior to me playing this game? I wanted to go into their raging, and here's the thing: before I got Muse and before I got Chrono Burst and all of that stuff, and I was not necessarily struggling with bosses, but getting a very, very satisfying and decent challenge out of all of the fights that I was getting up to. That's when I was having.
You like getting destroyed by games, don't you?
No, but that's not the thing. I don't like getting destroyed by games because, I feel that I'm a competent enough gamer to not. Sure, I might get destroyed at the beginning, but I feel that's the learning process of getting better. understanding the game better, and overcoming that obstacle and feeling satisfied that you've overcome it. And that's what this game was doing to me up to that point. When I fought Aurelia Le Guin for the first time in this game, which is really early in the game in a side quest, see her in a room and she's just chilling. You're like, you want to fight me? I'm like, I uploaded that fight. And if you heard my reaction at the end of that, I fucking loved it. I was like, oh, thank God I fucking beat that. That was a fight that I was looking for.
Yeah, she was kind of tough. I played her on hard. I was like, yo, what is going on here?
She hits like a fucking tank.
Yeah, and then she causes stats elements on you. I'm like, God,
yes,
what is going on?
You have to prepare. You have to prepare for the fight. This is what I wanted from every fight. You technically can have that from every fight if you don't use Chrono Burst in Art Celebration.
You talking about the social event fight against Aurelia?
Yeah.
No.
The last fight.
No, not the last fight. The last fight I was already. Yeah, at the last fight, my Reem was a fucking evasion tank. He had fucking evasion. Like, if your evasion in this game is over 50-60%, you can't fucking get touched. Especially when you put Insight on, you're not getting fucking touched. And if you have Reem with the Master Course, that one Master Course, I think it's called Sirius, where if you do a counter attack on someone, it does like, if you have it maxed out, it does like 600% damage on a counter hit. If you take Reem, put Insight on him, put him in front of literally any enemy, and they swing at Reem, they miss, and Reem counters and hits them with a 600% damage attack. Every character in the game is dead. It's ridiculous.
See, I do think it's a good thing for games to reward you by letting you actually see your build through to completion. It would be kind of ridiculous if they put an arbitrary wall in your progression.
I don't necessarily think that they would have to do that, though. I think certain things that I say are broken could have been made in a way where it still functions the way it should have, but just not as broken as it should be. Like, for example,
the only answer would be to weaken everything and raise the cost of everything.
Yeah, and I do feel, and I do feel that is a good answer when it comes to that. Like Art Celebration, there is no fucking reason Art Celebration should only cost 2 bravery points and give you a 15% cost on that. First of all,
I think one of the things that for that is that they probably wanted to make the game so you can do it on Nightmare on your first run.
I still think it's possible to do Nightmare on your first run, even if, let's say, Art Celebration 4 bravery points and gave you a 50% cut.
I don't think that
still sounds reasonable to me.
I don't think they could include both Art Celebration and Was it Chrono Burst?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they could include both of them in the game without running into issues. And I think any game with so many mechanics and so many stats and so many stat modifiers, there's no way for them to give you everything without you being able to take it and kind of use it against the game.
Here's how in my opinion, there's
you're cutting out a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was saying there was multiple ways you can balance Chrono Burst, in my opinion. One of the ways you could do it is on your first casting turn of Chrono Burst. You get 2 turns, but the player should not be allowed to use Chrono Burst on a Chrono Burst given turn. That instantly makes Chrono Burst it's because, like I said, with me doing what I was doing, I basically had infinite turns with Muse. You basically have infinite turns because you can use a Chrono Burst. You can use Chrono Burst on a Chrono Burst turn, continuously giving you 2 additional turns over and over and over and over again. All you have to do with that is say you are not allowed to use Chrono Burst on a Chrono Burst turn. That's all you have to do with Chrono Burst. Or you can say where, how with literally any other arts in the game, when you cast, you have to cast it on your first turn, and whenever your next turn comes, that's when it goes off. You could have did it where you cast Chrono Burst on a turn, and when the Chrono Burst comes up, then you get your 2 turns.
Or even make it like a once per encounter sort of thing.
Yeah, there's definitely ways that Chrono Burst could have been changed in a way where it's a bit more reasonable to what it is now, instead of just saying, okay, you know what, the EP cost is just ridiculous, and let's just move on to something.
But then you have to balance it to how long would it take for you to cast it versus is it worth casting at that point if it's gonna take forever to cast the damn art? You know.
That's the thing, though. I mean, 2 turns. It depends. It depends. I think the first one that I said, you're not allowed to cast Chrono Burst on a Chrono Burst turn, is definitely a good solution when it comes to that. Some people are like, just remove Chrono Burst altogether. That's another good option. You could just remove Chrono Burst altogether, but I do think there's a place for Chrono Burst.
So that's kind of like you have the option, and well, you're really weak-minded to take advantage of it because you're saying it's too powerful. Which, if you think it's too powerful, then you just shouldn't use it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, when I get to Send 4, I'm not using Chrono Burst altogether.
Do what I do like the last time I played Dark Souls, because I've played that game like 10 times. It's not really that hard anymore. My last time through, took all the armor off, no shield, just one weapon. I pumped every level I got into strength, even though after like level 50 that stops doing anything, just to help the game maintain its difficulty. So I think if you know what you're doing, you can pretty much break any game, and any game can kind of be made easy.
Yeah, but like I said, there are to the degree I feel that Falcom can do some things when it comes to certain things.
They can definitely balance better. I just don't want to see weird arbitrary limitations.
I understand.
And I didn't answer that earlier, but I do also kind of like being able to break games. And I've never once complained about the default broken characters in any of the Legend of Heroes games. I've almost always said, like, this character's broken, that character's broken, that character's broken. I fucking use them all the time, and I love it.
That's the thing. No, when I was going through the game, that's how I felt. You know, I fucking love this. But then I forgot that the reason I put this on challenge in the first place. So, you know, it kind of like, I felt like I was doing it out of, it was a bit redundant on my part. You know, I'm only speaking for myself. So that's, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the last things I want to talk about with you, Riku, is that you said at one point or a couple of times that Nightmare is like the canon difficulty for the story. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Because by what you're saying, no character is going to like set their quartz up or set themselves up to be that broken.
Yeah. No, when I feel that if I when I was fighting Aurelia Le Guin, like I said, for the first time, and I finished it, and I was like, oh, thank God. That felt fucking canon to the power of Aurelia Le Guin. The last time I fought Aurelia Le Guin, like the broken build that I have, at the end of the scene after you fight her and you see Reen's and he's tired and whatnot, I could not relate to what he felt, so I did not feel that was the case. So, like I said, I think when I play Sen 4 on Nightmare without Chrono Burst, I feel that I would definitely get a more accurate representation of what happens after the cutscenes. Which, if you've seen in this game, majority of the cutscenes after they fight a boss, they're most of the time slouched over because that boss that they fought gave them a challenge.
Canon difficulty for the story doesn't make any fucking sense, though.
Yeah,
if a 4-year-old played it on hard, they'd have that exhausted, or a 4-year-old played it on easy, they'd have that exhausted feeling at the end of every battle.
That's a 4-year-old, though. I understand where you're going.
Somebody who's not that big on RPGs, doesn't quite know what they're doing. Anybody who tends to struggle with RPGs, I think the difficulty is too subjective to actually say there's a canon difficulty to play on, because we're all going to experience it differently.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was getting one-shotted on normal by some enemies, and fucking Shadow said or not by enemies, but by bosses, he said it pretty fucking easy on normal.
Yeah, like it was. I don't know when it was, but after a while, normal was just a cakewalk because of Reen and Muse. I was like, God damn, you guys. I even took them out at one point, and I was still wrecking house because I got how to use the Brave Orders like down pack. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna use Sludgehammer. Ash, you come in. I'm gonna equip you with a whole bunch of brick orbs, and we're just gonna destroy everything.
Yeah, see, for me, there was a few bosses that were unexpected spikes. They were just like roadblocks for a little bit.
Can you say them for me?
I think Ari, how you say her name? Arian. Yeah, that's one of them. There was also just one of those random bosses in the Einhell Keep that could like one-shot my party. It was like a big robot guy. I can't fucking remember.
Yeah, I think was that towards the beginning of the game.
It was pretty early on.
Yeah, I think that one because I was opting to play that battle on hard, and that guy kept freaking enhancing and recovering, and I'm like, bro.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
We got to
See,
set up
that battle was mostly going fine until he enhanced, and then it's just if I don't have enough bravery points to put on Evan Crest, I'm wrecked.
Or CP, yeah, like you gotta spam your
S-crafts.
S-crafts at him. And then I did that. I did just that. I had it set up perfect. He survived by a slither of HP. I was so pissed. And then like how S-crafts, especially if you just like spam them in the middle of the turns, like it takes forever for your turn to come back. And he kept going. He literally went like 10 times in a row, destroyed my entire party.
One thing that does tend to make the game a little too easy, though, in terms of combat, when you have backup characters or support characters and your whole party gets wiped out, you can just put them straight into battle.
Yeah. I actually do like that feature. I remember earlier in the game, I think it was chapter 1, when you're fighting Shirley and Duvali. Yeah. And the two Jaeger tigers and 2 robots. Yeah. Shirley did. I have the footage up. Shirley did her S-craft, which has death element on it, and it killed my whole squad because of death element. And then I had Elliot on reserve. Elliot came in. I used this S-craft and brought everyone back up. So it feels like, especially on Nightmare, if you get hit with an S-craft, even if it's not death element, if you get hit with an S-craft on Nightmare difficulty, there's an 80% chance that you're going to get one shot.
I think it's even higher than that because hard, I'm pretty sure you would die instantly if you got hit by
There were some S-crafts that I survived. I remember when you fought Duvali the second time or whatnot, they did that triple S-craft on my characters. I had Ash, Reen, Yuna, and Vander, I think, out. And Vander died, and Muse died. I call him Vander. Kurt, Vander, whatever comes in the head. But Vander and freaking Yuna died, but Vander and Muse died, but Reen and Yuna survived the S-craft. So I was like, okay, so characters actually can survive. That was like the first time I realized that characters can survive S-crafts if they're built in a defensive way. Because I think I had all of these like earth quartz on Yuna, so she had like high defense, so she survived, and I was surprised by that. But yeah, characters even on Nightmare, they can survive S-crafts. But I do like the fact with the whole reserve thing, because majority of the time when you see an S-craft, it's gonna wipe your. If you don't have freaking Eben Crest on or Craft, you're getting wiped. And I feel they wanted to have it that way so that you can bring in your reserves so they can actually do something, because they're sitting on reserve. They're really not doing anything unless you press that swap button.
Yeah, I just think it just makes it too easy a lot of the time. And I think what they should have done, if they want characters to automatically spawn in, like when your whole party gets wiped, make that a quartz or something. Take up a slot, make it cost something.
That's the thing though. When there's actually a lot of, I don't know if you guys maxed out a lot of the master quartz. In Cold Steel 1 and 2, there's only one master quartz that allows you to revive yourself from death. The angel quartz that Elisa has, the default one. If you cap that out, you can bring yourself back alive with full 200 CP twice in one match.
Yeah,
and that was the case in Cold Steel 2 for a while. I was like, damn, this fucking quartz is amazing. I'm giving this shit to Reen, and I did give it to Reen. I took off to Reen. I'll go into Spirit Unification right after I died and just fuck them up. And if they fuck me up and I die, I get 200 CP back. I go to Spirit Unification and I'll fuck your ass up again. But the point is, in Cold Steel 3, I've actually realized that there's probably like 4 or 5 other Master Quartz that their like third little attribution down there is revive from death once. So I'm like, wow, there's like 5 or 6 other Master Quartz out there that have that feature also. They don't let you revive twice like that one. They let you revive at least once. So it's like, maybe that's just adding to what you were saying. It makes it a bit too easy because now they can all get wiped. They can come back. They can all get wiped again. And then the reserve can come in. And if it's Elliot, you can bring them.
And then the reserve can get wiped and come back.
Yeah, because that's
That's
that.
true.
Like I said, there's like 5 or 6 master courts that have it. So that's if one person has Angel, you still have 5 other characters that can have those courts that could potentially raise them back up.
See, is it
And-
having
and-
that
and
much
all-
that much options and choice? Isn't that great?
No, that's good. Which is why I said if the enemy has the ability to use a cool looking S craft that wipes your whole team, I don't necessarily mind that because of the fact that there's so many like layers for your characters to come back. On top of the fact you have so many goddamn puppet what's the thing called? The one item where I think it's called puppet something. You can put it on
yeah,
the character.
Proxy.
Yeah.
Puppet proxy, yeah. And then the upgraded version where, it comes you don't come back with half health, you come back with full health. There's a lot of little like revival things, which that's probably why I was fine with being completely wiped, because if you don't set up your characters in a way where they can come back to life at least once, then I feel that's on you.
That's definitely a necessity for the harder difficulties. So maybe it should have been
Yeah.
wiped out from the lower ones.
Probably. I definitely do think there's things in certain difficulties that should have been omitted. I could agree with that. But yeah, if you guys want to end the gameplay, because I still have a lot to say, but I'm gonna end it there.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, yeah, we went on way too long. I think, we've been going on for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think I'm technically gonna end it here, unless you guys got any closing thoughts.
Coastal 3 is my game of the year, my game of the generation. Even with all of those like balancing issues that I said that they could have done with Chronoburst and Art Celebration and all that stuff, that's really in my opinion, that's really my only legit con that I can think of in this entire game. Yeah, little tiny little story plot things. Why did they go straight to the bottom of the dungeon? They could have just took the mech down there from the get-go. Why didn't they go at the same time? All of the stuff. None of that shit bothered me. The only thing that really bothered me was that.
Okay.
Con. Man, I had a blast with this game. So
Yep.
yeah.
Cold Steel 3 is probably my game of the year as well. Also, Sarah's a MILF, and Cassius is best dad. I want to touch his mustache. That's all I got.
Cassius. I don't know about Cassius. I'm gonna have to link with Laura's dad.
Yeah. I can't know how to say it.
Bao, any last closing things you want to say?
Cold Steel 3 is also my game of the year, which is pretty shocking to me because the first time a Pokemon game hasn't been it in the year it comes out. Plus, it's probably not even probably. It's my favorite Trails game,
That's good. That's good.
hands down.
That means they're doing.
One of us.
They're definitely making strides. That's good.
I'm gonna break that trend, and Resident Evil 2 is my game of the year.
Yeah, I saw the tweet. I was like,
Slightly edging this one out. I still have to think about that, but we'll see. We'll see towards the end.
That's fair. I was actually playing that game like 3 days ago.
It's so great.
I'm getting ready to do like my end of the year video, and I started that game back in fucking March and never finished it, so I just got around to it now.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Yeah, RE2 is good. It's pretty up there for me too.
I want to get into that franchise because now everyone's flipping out for Resident Evil 3 remake, and I'm like, I've like barely played any Resident. I played a little bit of 5, and that was so. I kind of want to get into that franchise, see what the hype is about. I love me some Dead Space, and that franchise is dead, so I'm gonna have to go to Resident Evil to get my scary fix.
All right. So my last things about Cold Steel 3. It was a damn great game. I loved almost everything about it. Did kind of feel like it went on for a little bit too long, but that's only because I was kind of I felt a little bit of pressure because I was trying to get out a review, and then like I had like a whole thing with Sony Vegas that messed everything up, so I had to re-record everything, and I was like tired of looking at the game after a while. But yeah, other than that, this game was worth the wait, I will have to say. So that's pretty much it. Fuck any other canon relationships. It's always Rin and Enema. Sarah's great too. Oh man, I don't want this to go on for so long because I really wanted to end it. But real quick, how did you guys feel about Sharon like betraying us?
Was not a fan of that. I felt her reasoning was a bit weak.
Yes.
How much she hypes up her loyalty to at least
Yes.
Yeah, they really did hype up her loyalty just for her to be like, yeah, guess what? Your dad is still alive. He's one of the main bad guys, and yeah, that whole flashback that I showed you when we were driving, that was basically a lie to some degree. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the flashback being a lie. I mean, I guess it's interesting from a they've never done the type of way. Like, oh yeah, we showed you a flashback, you made you believe it, but gotcha. That's different. But I mean, at least we get to see her in that sexy latex again.
Did you guys call what's his name being alive? Alicia's dad?
No.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah.
I just thought he was yet another person that died before or after the game that we didn't really know about. Okay. So I wasn't thinking about that.
All right, and one more thing. Wait, Tarks, I didn't get your opinion on the Sharon thing.
She's gonna come back. She's not gonna stay a bad guy as far as I'm concerned. She's fucking Darth Vader to Elisa, so she'll overthrow Emperor Palpatine at the end, and Elisa and Sharon are gonna make out in the shower or something. I don't know.
Yeah, let them get together.
I'd ship it.
One more thing. I felt like there was a lack of costumes in this game. I wanted
DLC.
No, I got all the DLC. I still feel like, I wanted the older characters to have all the stuff, or like have new stuff. I was like, the customization options are kind of weak when it comes to this stuff. Like, they only have like 1 or 2 hairs. Like, none of the old Class 7s have any different outfits. And I'm like, what the hell happened here? Le Guin,
I'm on my second.
Yeah, she's got her swimsuit, and that was pretty much. I was like, yeah, you're staying in that for my second playthrough.
I got quite a bit of like that, the extra like hair and shit from the chest, and I did not use any of it. It's just kind of weird to me.
Yeah, it's too different of a contrast. I tried to use Fee's dark hair, and I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, it's like it's not even the same character anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
The only time I changed it, and it's probably because I looked at the. If you look at your manual. And the manual shows you concept art for the characters and what they would at one point during the character design what they would have looked like and what their color hair was during that point. Certain characters like Muse and Ash, I think in the concept art, if you look in your book, his hair was going to be like this hot orange type of color. And in the concept art, it looks cool. I'm like, that's interesting. If they went with that, I would have been fine with it. And that is his his little color swap hair. That's what the color is. Same thing for Yuna and I think Muse. But I know the one for Yuna, which is brown, that one looked fine to me. The one for Ash, that one looked fine to me. But yeah, I do agree with you guys for the most part. A lot of those hairs, they didn't look like. They didn't really fit. Like green with red hair. I'm like, you're not at all. You're not at all, my guy. I'm sorry. Gotta put. Yeah, I can't have you with the red hair. You're not at all.
The thing about Ash, though, is that while this game was in development, My Hero Academia became popular, so they wanted a Bakugo character.
Oh, wow.
Because that's pretty much exactly what he is.
Okay, yeah, pretty much. Well, for the most part. He's
I
not
guess from a character from a character
Bakugo.
design's point, I can definitely see that. But yeah, he definitely doesn't.
Visually and attitude, there's so much there.
Yeah, but he's definitely a bit more laid back than
Bakugo, yeah.
Bakugo is in your face 24/7. He has no turn.
Well, okay, Ash doesn't have any Lord Explosion murder moments, but he's still that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I could understand that.
All right, let's get on with that. I gotta go mix me some gin.
Exactly. Yeah, I gotta get out of here before I think of anything else. Okay, yeah. I appreciate you guys for coming out, for staying for this 2-hour section. Didn't think it was gonna go on that long. Appreciate for anybody for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, leave a comment, tell us where we were right at or where we were damn right wrong at. We're gonna head up out of here, and that's it.
We'll see you in the Cold Steel 4 SPOILERCAST, people. It'll be 3.5 hours.
Oh man, we gotta put a limit on you. Get a gong for you. All right, we out of here. Peace.
Peace out, people.